Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show, Wednesday edition. My name is Leon Jones. I hope everybody enjoyed their day. I've been pretty busy with making videos. I made 4 videos for my second channel. I want everybody to get over there and check that channel out. It's actually me doing the actual inspections. The name of the channel is the QCIS channel. Now, tonight, I want to be talking about some of my favorite topics. I'm going to talk about some behavioral topics today. And I did it on Blog Talk Radio years ago. I'm going to say about 5 years ago. 4 to 5 years ago. And I talked about the Dark Triad. Now, what is the Dark Triad? Now, there's also the Light Triad. Now, the Dark Triad features 3 legs of I'd say, equilateral triangle. Starts with psychopathy, narcopathy, and of course, Machiavellianism. Now, before I go on, I want everybody to get the likes up. If I don't see much participation, I'll just go ahead and sign off early and just use this video as pre-recorded content. I've already made 4 videos on my other channel. I'm going to get that channel up and running better because I like doing tasks in my area of construction inspection. But the Dark Triad, what is the Dark Triad? Well, what I'm going to do is share my screen and show you what the Dark Triad really is. And when we talk about the Dark Triad, we basically talk about personality traits. Now, what is the Dark Triad personality? Now, I'm getting this from the Very Well Mind article. I've actually posted the link to the article in the chat. Also, I have the poll. A poll. So I want everybody to get at least to the poll. And again, welcome to the chat. All right, let's move on. What is the Dark Triad personality? Well, in the real world, this is how you lay everything out. There are basically 2 types of people. Just like we have 2 genders, regardless of what the liberals say, there are 2 genders, male and female. Well, when it comes to personalities, or what we use to describe people, there are 2 types of people. You're either good or you're bad. Now, if you're trying to avoid a philosophical or existential debate, it is the easiest way, and it depends on the person. Now, remember something about the real world and, of course, personality traits. One size doesn't fit all. However, in the field of psychology, they've been able to basically associate certain behavior traits that can be major red flags for somebody's personality. These traits are known as the Dark Triad. Now, the Dark Triad again consists of 3 legs of a triangle: narcissism, subclinical psychopathy, and one of my favorite ones, Machiavellianism. Now, this trio of negative or dark personality traits, they're basically distinct from one another. However, they also have the ability to overlap, and they're present in one individual. Individuals who are manifesting the Dark Triad personality type have been associated with tendencies toward violence, and of course, criminal activity, even when they don't slip to those extremes. The trio usually spells self serving, manipulative, and low empathy behavior. Again, the trio. The trio is the psychopathy, narcopathy, and Machiavellianism. And when we deal with manipulative behavior, that's when we get into what we call Machiavellianism. What's going on, Ben's Daily? Welcome to the chat, my brother. Now, as I move on, when we deal with the Dark Triad, of course, with everything, their personality traits. Now, what are the personality traits to the Dark Triad? Well, we already named the three legs, but I'm going to give you the definition that is basically used by psychologists to define personality traits. Now, basically, and I'm going to paraphrase it myself, basically, psychologists use the term personality traits to understand differences in people's thoughts and behaviors by assigning each to a specific trait. Now, people that are assigned to a trait are generally expected to behave in a certain way associated with that trait consistently over time and in lots of varying situations. Now, when it comes to psychologists, here's what they do. They will use a template based off of 5 personality traits, which are known as the Big Five. And these traits are known as consciousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, and of course, openness. Now, after analyzing behavior, psychologists will score an individual high or low on each of the core traits and build upon an outline of their personality traits. So we've talked about, now you know what the personality traits are, but what are the dark traits? Now, when we deal with the dark traits are basically associated with negative human behaviors. Now, don't get them confused with specific actions such as deception and greed. Dark traits are actually associated with categories that are a bit broader. Moving on. All right, just bear with me and I'm only using one monitor. So, when we deal with traits, again, I'm dealing with the 3 legs of an equilateral triangle. If you're not familiar of what an equilateral triangle is, triangles have 180 degrees. An equilateral triangle means equal legs and equal angles, 60 degrees on each side. This is what we're dealing with the Dark Triad. Now, your first trait of the Dark Triad triangle is narcissism. Now, of the 3 traits that make up the Dark Triad personality, narcissism is probably the most commonly misdiagnosed. Often people will point to individuals who exhibit selfish behavior and call them narcissists. Now, I'm going to break that down to you right now. So if you use the word narcissism, you might not be correct. You could be using the word out of context. Now, if this were the case, we would all be narcissists at times. However, the clinical definition of narcissism goes a bit further. Now, when we talk about narcissism, it basically concerns with oneself to the extreme. While everyone will be guilty of putting their own needs first from time to time, narcissists will do this almost as a rule. Now, psychologists work to determine if an individual is a true narcissist by grading them on a 4-part scale known as the NPD. Or the NPD is a narcissistic personality disorder. So when we deal with a grade, it's the NPI. It's known as the Narcissistic Personality Inventory, known as NPI. Now, here's how the NPI works. The scale basically assesses an individual's self absorption, superiority, authority, and exploitiveness, meaning they will exploit others for their own gain. Now, often narcissists will often have a difficult time forming and maintaining relationships with others that would require them to consider someone else's needs outside their own. Again, hey Celine, welcome to the chat. Now, as I move on to the second trait, and we're going to talk about trait two. Trait two, we're actually dealing with subclinical psychopathy. Now, basically, to understand what subclinical psychopathy is, now psychopathy comes from psychopath, which we know psychopaths can be very violent, they can be killers. But when we understand psychopathy, we need to look at psychopathy like narcissism. It's a word that is thrown around more or less. It's also used inappropriately in at least a clinical sense. Now, a true psychopath is someone who exhibits antisocial behaviors, namely, they show a lack of empathy or remorse and typically have dampened impulse control. So, it is important to note that these aren't off occurrences. They're typically unrelated to the instances that you can come from common everyday experiences. So, for true psychopaths, the lack of empathy and remorse form the rule. And remember something, everybody talks with exception. Just because there is an exception, there it doesn't mean that it is the rule. Again, for true psychopaths, they have a lack of empathy and remorse from the rule. Well, the remorse, they form the rule. Again, true psychopaths basically have lack of empathy and they form the rule, and it is not the exception to their behavior. So, what everything the clinical psychologists are saying, they're saying psychopathy may be closer than you think. They even suggest that there isn't actually a qualitative difference between the two. That is, behaviors of a psychopath and subclinical psychopath are the same. Now, the difference is instead quantitative. True clinical psychopaths are those whose abnormal or antisocial behavior permeates most of the every idea or most of every area. Again, the difference. When we deal with quantity, we deal with a number. When we deal with quality, we deal with, is it the best? So when it comes to behaviors of a psychopath and a clinical psychopath, what we're really dealing with is a difference in quantitative behavior. See, the true clinical psychopaths are those whose abnormal or social or antisocial behavior basically permeates most of every area of their lives. Whereas a subclinical psychopath, on the other hand, is an individual who exhibits that they're the same behaviors. Again, I'm talking about the Dark Triad. As I move on here. Okay. Basically, for review, when it comes to clinical psychopathy and psychopathy, the difference is instead quantitative. Again, true clinical psychopaths are those whose abnormal or antisocial behavior permeates, that's permeates most or every area of their lives. So a subclinical psychopath, on the other hand, is basically an individual who exhibits these same behaviors, but the effect on their lives is lessened because the rate and extremity of the behaviors is lower. Now, here's the big one that seems to get a lot of people caught up in a crossfire. And this is trait three, known as Machiavellianism. Now, of course, if you don't understand Machiavellianism, Machiavellianism comes from an Italian, I guess he was a philosopher named Niccolo Machiavelli. Now, as the name suggests, it can be summed up as a personality type that incorporates the ideas put forth by Niccolo Machiavelli. Now, Niccolo Machiavelli was a Renaissance professor who described how a head of state ought to behave in one of his most acclaimed works, The Prince. So, one of the main themes of his book is the ends justify the means, and it's that very theme that underscores Machiavellianism as a personality type. Now, of course, many of you have heard how the ends justify the means. So, those who exhibit Machiavellianism are very manipulative. In fact, I'm going to say it greater. They're highly manipulative. Societally, they are often viewed as adept liars. However, their deception often runs. And again, shout out to the chat. Just bear with me. Okay. Like I said before, when it comes to Machiavellianism, a true personality inherently understands the importance of appearing forthcoming while using deceit to obtain what they want. Now, again, how do we recognize Machiavellianism? And please, let's get the likes up. Good evening, Jenny V. How are you? Just make yourselves at home here. I'm talking about the Dark Triad. And I'm going to tell you about recognizing the Dark Triad. Okay, so how do we recognize the Dark Triad personality? And this is how the clinical psychological psychologists do it. Again, this is from an article, very well mined. I already put the link to this article in the chat. So, how to recognize a Dark Triad personality? Basically, there's a lot of deceit. And due to the deceitful nature of the Dark Triad personality traits, it is inherently difficult to diagnose. Now, why is that? Because many individuals who exhibit these traits are often master manipulators and excellent liars. Your politicians. Believe it or not, you hear a number of politicians and even your media folks. The reason why they're good at manipulation, and even your pastors, because they know how to get into the emotions of people. And these individuals, lawyers, they're also manipulators. And this is why you have different versions of the law, but it's of the same law because there are a number of people who are in power who know how to manipulate the laws. Again, due to the deceitful nature of the Dark Triad personality, it is inherently difficult to diagnose. So many individuals who exhibit these traits are often master manipulators and excellent liars who are well versed in telling people what they want to hear. So in a clinical setting, psychologists can assess how individuals score on the Big Five personality traits and compare these to known associations with the Dark Triad personalities. So there can be attempts to detect levels of the individual traits that make up the triad, as well as a 12-point scale to measure all three at once. Now, when I talk about all three, I'm talking about psychopathy, narcopathy, and of course, Machiavellianism. So, on a personal level, recognizing someone as having a dark triad personality can be exceedingly difficult. However, certain red flags, such as constant lying or displays of apparent interest in only themselves, can be good indicators they exhibit at least one of the requisite traits. Again, shout out to the chat. Get the likes up for me. Um, I'm talking about the dark triad. Now, along with the dark triad, there's also the light triad. Now, remember, the dark triad personality type has been attracting lots of attention from researchers in recent years. Now, this makes sense due to the potential impact on criminology and understanding antisocial behavior. There is a yin, there's a yin and a yang, however. When we deal with the light triad personality, proposed even more recently, it is the opposite of the dark triad. It's where the composing personality traits of the dark triad are types concerning only with the self. So the light triad types are Kantianism, humanism, and faith in humanity. So what you're seeing in the light triad is the opposite of the dark triad, where in the dark triad, basically, you have an individual who's basically consumed with himself or herself, where in the light triad, you have a person who's very humanistic, they're unselfish. Now, these personality types are inherently concerned with other people. Now, Kantianism is the belief that other people are ends themselves, not means to justify needs. This personality trait loves others and works to benefit them instead of only making choices that benefit themselves. And humanism is the value of the worth of people. And faith in humanity is the belief that people are inherently good and will do good unto others. So if you're worried about the potential pitfalls of not being able to detect dark triad personalities you may encounter in your day-to-day life, here's what can happen. Bear with me. Well, again, if you're worried about the potential pitfalls of not being able to detect the dark triad personalities you see in day to day life, you can perhaps take solace in the belief that you may be just as many light triad personalities. There may be just as many light triad personalities to actually balance them out. Now, again, what I'm talking about is strictly behavior. And of course, when we deal with behavior, behavior is something that we all possess. And when we deal with the dark triad, again, for those who just joined, we're dealing with three personality traits: Machiavellianism, narcopathy, and of course, psychopathy. Now, is someone being solipsistic part of the dark triad? No, it's not. Good evening, Latin Patriot. What are the examples of dark triads? Well, the examples I just presented are narcopathy, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. Basically, when we hear the everyday definition of somebody being a psychopath, we look at them as being crazy or violent. When we look at somebody who's narcissistic, we always look at them as being a selfish person, but really someone who is narcissistic basically sees the world about themselves. It's all about me. And then when we deal with Machiavellianism, what we deal with is master manipulation. And you have a lot of people, and again, examples of groups who are master manipulators: your pastors of the church, your lawyers, your politicians, your journalists. And see, when you have weak people out there who don't know what's going on, look at Jim Jones. I was around when Jim Jones had 900 people, including himself, killed in Guyana. He thought he was God. He had the people and his cult drink cyanide. You look at David Koresh. He set himself and everybody in his cult back in 1993 on fire, and they died. Interesting. Shout out to Latin A. Interesting because the crazy people know what they're doing. They understand what they're doing. That's why a lot of these people try to hide their evil deeds. That is a fact. Believe it or not, you have some individuals out there who have killed just to be killed, but what they do, they always plead insanity, but they know exactly what they're doing. And some also, yes, try to gaslight others that what their evil deeds are not evil. That is also a fact. And again, when it comes to psychology alone, you have a lot of these personality traits. They basically mesh with one another. So, again, when it comes to the dark triad, it is really dark. Now, I just gave you some of the light triad, which again, the light triad people are basically humanists. That's what they are. In fact, in the light triad, individuals believe that people are generally inherently good, which that in theory that is correct. However, there are a lot of bad people out there. We already know it. And you can see it every day when you wake up and go to work. And what I've seen today, there are a number of individuals that like to bully weak people, bully elderly people, children, just for their own power. But this has been happening over time. People who are in power are master manipulators. Look at people like Fidel Castro. What did he do? He told people what they wanted to hear, killed the ones that were against him, and he got himself in power. Look at Hugo Chavez. In fact, Karl Marx. Karl Marx is a master manipulator. He was actually a communist. And believe it or not, politically, individuals that are looking for a tyrannical style of government, they're generally master manipulators. And it's here in this country. If you don't agree with someone's agenda, like the LGBT, the alphabet agenda, or the feminist agenda, or even the agenda for black nationalism, you're called a racist, a homophobe. Because what happens is you have these individuals who inherently they like to use manipulation, and they do a good job of it. And see, generally, when you have people who are Machiavellian, they're going to encompass a little psychopathy and narcopathy. Now, again, when we talk about a psychopath is not necessarily a killer. Now, we have everyday psychopath and we have this subclinical psychopath. But what about solipsism? One moment while I get that up. Solipsism. Just bear with me. All right. I'm going to talk about, get rid of the Dark Triad, and I'm going to talk about solipsism as I come and share my screen. Shout out to Latin Patriot. Jodi Arias killed her boyfriend because she claims he abused her. So she drove hundreds of miles into another state and had a whole alibi set up. Well, that does happen. And believe it or not, a number of your killers and even your victims. I know what Stockholm syndrome is. Basically, Stockholm syndrome that happened during a bank robbery in Stockholm, Sweden. And what happened? The victims actually defended the perpetrators. And this is how some people get away. Because some of your perpetrators are very Machiavellian. She was obsessed with him and couldn't handle the rejection. Now, I did hear about that. Yes, shout out. That's absolutely true. And when you get a hold of psychology, you're going to have a number of individuals out there, and they're everyday people who have obsessions. And you know, when you are obsessed with somebody, that also goes into stalking. And I tell you where you can find a lot of master manipulation and even some individuals who are outright crazy. Social media. Now, I'll tell you why. And I did a video on social media. When it comes to social media, you don't know who's up there. In fact, I'm going to tell you this when it comes to social media, because there are a lot of crazy people out there. Don't always put your name and your email out there where people can get it and sell your information to someone else. And then they can send out false information about you through Google and these other sites. Hackers. Now, with some of these individuals who are so obsessed with themselves, where they make the mistake is this. They're used to getting away with everything, and they get comfortable. But they don't realize that it only takes one mistake. Just like individuals who get away with murder. You can murder a number of people. And one thing about murder, there's no statute of limitations on murder. All you can do, if you can't find out who your murderer is, you can put it in a cold case. But there are a lot of cold case files that people are opening back up. They've opened up Emmett Till. And what happened with Emmett Till, found out, I believe Carolyn was her name, found out that he didn't whistle at her. You look at individuals who were convicted of sexual assault. Romeo from the Steve Harvey show that came on back in the late 90s and early 2000s. He and a friend were gunned down because I believe a 15-year-old said they sexually assaulted her. And what happened? She went and got some guys. Romeo was shot dead in 2002. He was 26 years old, and found out later she didn't do that. Well, she wasn't sexually assaulted. They didn't do that. Look at the Duke lacrosse team. And the funny thing about the court of opinion, when people don't check everything out, and this is what the media is good at doing, The media, it's like we have three branches of government, but the media and your social media outlets, you have a lot of people in power. And let me tell you what changes a lot of people's minds: money. And when that happens, you're going to be all shaken up. So when it comes to people out there, you have to understand behavior. Look at your own family members as well. Family members can be very Machiavellian, and there are different ways to do it. See, the Dark Triad works funny. You, you can be outright crazy. Look at a person's eyes. That'll tell you if they're crazy or not. Look at their eyes. Look at their nonverbal communication. That tells you a lot about a person. And the funny thing about it, it doesn't matter how they dress. You see, and I'm going to get into something later on called perception, because we tend to make judgments off for perception. Now, stereotypes too, they are generally true. Shout out to you, Free Zone Lou. Welcome to the chat. But again, we have to deal with a lot out here. And what I'm doing, I'm just making you realize what goes on. And everybody in chat, if you have a channel, shout out to Free Zone Lou. Free Zone, put your channel in the chat. When everybody get over there to his channel, he's got some good stuff. And there may be people filtering in now because they were on SKC stream. And, you know, I'll welcome you all to my chat here on the Wednesday night edition. But again, I'm going to take a quick look at solipsism while I share my screen. All right, solipsism. Solipsism and the problem of other minds. This is also from an article. Solipsism is sometimes expressed as the view that I am the only mind which exists, or my mental states are the only mental states. However, the sole survivor of a nuclear holocaust might truly come to believe in either of those propositions without thereby being a solipsist. Solipsism is therefore more properly regarded as the doctrine that, in principle, existence means for me, my existence, and that of my mental states. Anything that would commonly be regarded as a doctrine. Correction, let me go back. When we talk about solipsism, and I'm going to paraphrase it myself, it's basically everything surrounding me. Existence is everything that I, you hear the word I experience physical objects, other people, events, and processes, anything that would commonly be regarded as a constituent of the space and time in which I, notice what I'm saying, I coexist with others and is necessarily construed by me as part of my content or my conscience. For the solipsist, it is not merely the case that he believes or she believes his thoughts, experiences, and emotions are, as a matter of contingent fact, the only thoughts, experiences, and emotions. Rather, the solipsist can attach no meaning to the supposition that there could be thoughts, experiences, and emotions other than his or her own. Again, a solipsist can basically attach no meaning that there can be thoughts, experiences, or any emotions other than their own. So, in short, the true solipsist understands the word pain. For example, to me, my pain. He or she cannot accordingly conceive how the word is to be applied in any sense other than this exclusively eccentric one. And the eccentric one is me. What's going on, brother angry snowman? Modern day adults act like children all the damn time. Hell, I'm even guilty of it. Paul Pelosi, for example, lately. Shout out to the angry snowman. Everybody's coming in. Make yourselves at home. I find a great joy now in being able to control someone's feelings so easily. They get pissed off and do 12-hour hate streams about me because I said something that was me. Oh, well, in about 17 minutes, I will drop the link. Come on up and explain that because I do see a lot of what's going on these streams, and I see a number of people who are supposed to be adults not acting like adults. Now, again, no greater philosopher has espoused solipsism as a theory, if indeed it can be termed such. It is clearly very far removed from common sense. In view of this, it might reasonably be asked why the problem of solipsism should receive any philosophical attention. There are two answers to this question. First, while no great philosopher has explicitly espoused solipsism, this can be attributed to the inconsistency of the philosophical reasoning. Many philosophers have failed to accept the legal, logical consequences of their own most fundamental commitments and preconceptions. Now, the foundations of solipsism lie at the heart of the view that the individual gets his own psychologically concepts, thinking, willing, perceiving, and so forth. So, from his own case, that is by abstraction from inner experience. So, the view, or some variant of it, it has been held by a great many, if not the majority of philosophers, since Descartes made the egocentric search for truth the primary goal of the critical study of the nature and limits of knowledge. So, in this sense, solipsism is implicit in many philosophies of knowledge and the mind, since Descartes or Descartes, or I call it, Descartes, and any other theory of knowledge that adopts the Cartesian egocentric approach as the basic frame of reference is inherently solipsistic. Second, solipsism merits close examination because it is based upon three widely entertained philosophical presuppositions, which are themselves of fundamental and wide ranging importance. These are: number one, what I know mostly certainly are the contents of my mind, my thoughts, experiences, affective states, and so forth. There is no conceptual or logically necessary link between the mental and the physical. For example, there is no necessary link between the occurrence of certain conscious experience or mental states and the possession and behavior dispositions of a body of a particular kind. And thirdly, the experience of a given person, they're basically necessarily private to that person. Shout out to Laughing Dog. What is going on? But basically, all these individuals tie into one another. Um, so when it comes to the Dark Triad, you have Machiavellianism, narcopathy, and psychopathy. Of course, there's solipsism. Now, in the stage two, I'm going to talk about why adults, in my humble opinion, are children. And I'm going to base it off of a behavioral sense because there are other behaviors that come into play with adults. Why are they children? Number one, I believe a number of them suffer from the Peter Pan syndrome. This is why on if you watch Kendra G's videos, now I'm 57 years old. There are a number of well, that's true. Willow seems people just enjoy pleasing themselves. It's about me, always about me. That gets more into the solipsism as well. No one else. It's about me and what I think, my pain. That's more or less solipsism. But if you look at Kendra G's videos, now Kendra G is a journalist, a radio and TV personality out of Chicago. I used to listen to WGCI when I lived in the Chicago area. She's on a morning show. She has a number of individuals on there who have unrealistic expectations of what they want. They overvalue themselves. Basically, they have the Dunning Kruger effect. And the Dunning Kruger effect is basically when somebody overpraises themselves. Uh, for instance, they they've been the banged up used car, and they still think that they're the same as a new car. But when you look at everything, this used car has been driven around, a lot of mileage, it's been beat up so much. There had to be a lot of maintenance put in this used car, where this new car hasn't had that many mileage or miles on that car. So you compare the used car and the old car. Individuals who are the used cars believe that they're just as valuable as a brand new car. Now, of course, value is something that is subjective. However, when you put common sense into play, common sense is always going to tell you that something is newer is going to be worth more because it's been used a lot less. And how do things get old? Over time. Now, again, solipsism, narcopathy. They're basically, I'm not going to say they're one and the same because they're not. Now, I'm going to, for individuals that want to come on up, I'm going to go ahead and put the link out, and I'm gonna make sure everybody's comments get read. And I got the poll. Let me go to my poll because this is a good one. Wow, I have 18 votes so far. Do modern day adults act like children when they don't get what they want? Out of 19 votes, 95% yes, 5% no. Let me answer Brother Free Zone's question. So basically, solipsism means the only thing I believe in is what's on my mind, and I question everything else. Basically, that is true. It's about my pain. It's about me, 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 me. That's solipsism. And Brother Free Zone, that is it. Oh my goodness. Brother Angry Snowman's coming with the hitter. Coming with the hitter. Brother Angry Snowman, I'm gonna have to do that one later on. But yeah, that is true. You got some out there that suffer from the Napoleon syndrome, Munchausen syndrome, as well as suffering from being a compulsive liar, having bipolar disorder, and being personality schizophrenic. Wow, that was a lot there. You know what? That is a fact. You have a number of people who do suffer from that. Uh, and then I know I worked with a boss named Al Pica. He was a round 5'5" guy. He thought he could bully everybody around because he was short, had a was bald, and I was ready to take him out one time. If it had been in the 90s, I would have slugged him. Shout out to Latin Patriot. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias whereby people with low ability, expertise, or experience a certain type of task or area of knowledge, and they tend to overestimate their ability or knowledge. Well, that's exactly what that's what I mean. I just put it in the contents where let's let's say they're writing a resume, and what they're doing with that resume, they take something that's very basic and they exaggerate it a little bit. They fluff it out. They're overestimating their abilities. And basically, these people aren't qualified to do something, but they believe from that resume that I've done it. You can write anything in a dating profile, you can write anything on Facebook, you can write anything on Twitter, all these. And I guarantee you, you're going to find some Dunning Kruger effects. Shout out to Men's Daily. Yeah, it's a deep topic. Shout out to Willie. Yes, I was raised to treat others the way I want to be treated, also to uphold our family reputation in town. Well, I will tell you about family, though. You want to know where a lot of your manipulation comes from? Your own family. Believe it or not, your own family. Shout out to Laughing Dog. Panera dinner date with the daughter. Gotta go. All right. Shout out. Thank you for coming up, Laughing Dog. I just Googled the definition. That's what it said. Well, facts. That's facts. Shout out to brother Melly Mel in the house. But again, when it comes to Dunning Kruger, now I did a video on Dunning Kruger effect. Now, it also, I'm going to go share my screen on this, on the Dunning Kruger effect. Now, when it comes to the Dunning Kruger effect, this is from Britannica, the Dunning Kruger effect. And the Dunning Kruger effect in psychology is a cognitive bias. Yes, this is exactly what Latin said, where people with limited knowledge or competence. Now, that's only part of it, but according to the researchers from whom it was named, psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger, the effect is explained by the fact that metacognitive ability to recognize deficiencies, and it's recognizing deficiencies. The effect is explained to metacognitive ability to recognize deficiencies in one's own knowledge or competencies requires that at least one possess a minimum level of some kind of knowledge or competence, which those who exhibit the effect have not attained. Because those individuals are unaware of their deficiencies, such people generally assume that they are not deficient, and keeping the tendency of most people to choose what they think is most reasonable, although not scientifically explored until the late 20th century. That's also effect. That is what you said, Latin is definitely true. I got it from Britannica. So I guess that's true for dysfunctional families, but my family helps each other and they aren't full of degenerates. Or your family might have a lot of humanism, which humanism, that's part of the light triad. Now, I'm going to say this. When we deal with the dark triad and we deal with the light triad, and the dark triad, they call it dark because that's where the evil is. The light triad is where the good is. But if you look at both triangles, there could be some questionable calls with both triangles, where you have people who are who are evil, very evil out there. They don't care about anybody. They have no remorse. But then you have the individuals who are very faithful and humanistic. They believe that all people are good, which is very naive as well. And that's the thing about behaviors. Now, I will tell you this, every person out there, although we may not have been brought up in the same environments, we have good and we have evil in us. But a number of us try to put more good out than evil. I guarantee there's something that can turn us into evil human beings. And I tell you what can be used to turn us evil: money. Shout out to cybertoxin. Munchausen by proxy is a prevalent dysfunction online. Facts. Willow says, I've been blessed. Society is changing along with pop culture. Thank you. You have a good night. Well, again, when it comes to individuals out there, it's good and evil, just like they're males and females. And society is always going to change. And some of us have been blessed and some of us haven't. But in the end, we all have our ups and downs. Now, again, I'm about at the hour mark. So anybody that wants to come up, talk about it, been on for an hour. And salute E Taylor 704. Welcome to the chat. And donate if you wish, but let's keep the likes up. I'm talking about a deep topic, talking about the Dark Triad. I've already dropped the link, usually after an hour. I use the rest of the time for anybody that wants to come up. If they don't, I'll keep going and talk about any topic that you request, and I'll just give you my experience and my opinion on it. But again, the link is in the chat. And anybody who has a channel, spam your channel in the chat and like, share, and subscribe to my channel. My name is Leon. I am the host of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. Let's get the likes up. But again, right off the top of the head here, behavior is very important. And you have a number of individuals out here who believe they're above reproach. Now, out of the Dark Triad, the main issue that always sticks out to me is Machiavellianism. Oh, got my boy Angry Stove Man.
Hold on, I can't hear you. Give me a second. Talk. Let me see if I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. Hey, thanks for coming up, brother. You hit it hard with that Napoleon.
Yeah. It wasn't directed at anybody specifically.
No, but I had a boss who had the Napoleon syndrome. But there are people out there who have the Napoleon syndrome. It's true. It is. Particularly short people. Let's just be honest. They do.
Yeah.
Because, go ahead, bro.
Well, the Napoleon syndrome mixed with the Munchausen by proxy syndrome, those are two very toxic syndromes to be mixed together, man. You got people that want to basically have world domination, that they got to have power and control. That's where your Napoleon syndrome comes in, mixed with people that will literally create their own problems.
Well, it's funny that you say that. You know who creates their own problems? Our own United States government.
Oh, don't get me started.
Let's get it started, because that's what.
How can you, that's one of the things that's kind of like dawned on me here is like, how can we expect people, even on these platforms, to act any different when the people that most people look up to are acting just as, disorganized and just as nutty as everyone else. I mean, we are literally, mirroring what we see on TV all the time.
That's fact. And Angry Snowman, with all these dysfunctional issues. I just had somebody up there named Willow. I don't even know who she is. I guess she hopped off because I said something about the Dark Triad and the Light Triad. Okay, the Dark Triad, that's the one that has the narcopathy, the Machiavellianism, and the psychopathy, and then the humanism and the contrarianism and the faith. They all come from the Light Triad. And I said on both sides, there's it's good and evil, but I'm going to tell you this: I would question if somebody is humanist and they think everybody is good. I think they're naive. What say you?
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, to actually sit here and believe it so much that you'd speak it out of your own mouth and try and speak into existence that good people don't do bad things is disingenuous. I mean, first and foremost, I don't care how good a human being is. If given the opportunity, every human being on this planet, if given the opportunity to show you the worst of themselves, they will. Everybody, you and myself included. If we were given the opportunity to be the worst human being we could ever be, we will.
Well, I know I've shown it on the job what an asshole I can be.
Well, I'm just saying that it's part of human nature. I mean, really, in all honesty, to be a decent human being is something that you have to, it's something you have to consciously do, consciously fight against being the evil that you are, because naturally we are destructive, evil beings.
Especially, okay, let's just be honest, Angry Snowman. We humans, we're animals, man. We're savages, man.
Yeah, we're savages that have the ability of cognitive thought. That's what makes us so dangerous.
I mean, it's funny. Animals that can kill us like a tiger and lion. If we hit that tiger and lion right, we can kill that tiger and lion. We can kill an alligator. We can kill a grizzly bear. We can kill an elephant.
But see, here's the difference between a human being and that alligator, that tiger, that lion. That alligator, that tiger, that lion, they're only going to kill something out of necessity, out of need.
That's a fact.
They aren't going to go out and just kill just for the sheer purpose of killing. Whereas human beings, who are also mammalian, we will actually go out and kill just for the sheer joy of killing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what separates what's going on with separates human nature from, natural order and a natural law, because there's a reason why animals can follow natural law, which in turn will give you natural order. Human beings can't. As much as we would like to think that we could follow the natural law things and let nature sort things out, we can't, because there's always going to be that one that can't fight his animalistic urges. Because like I said, it is a conscious battle for human beings to not revert back to their animalistic evil ways of just wanting to go out and fucking eat, sleep, fight, and bust.
Facts. Latin Patriot says female managers have been much more of a nightmare than male managers.
Depends on what line of work you're in, honestly, if you want my opinion.
Yeah. And E. Taylor 704, that's a real good, it's a real good problem, but a lot of black families, a lot of families in general, I'm not going to say just black families, they're full of immature degenerates. In fact, the adult population that I see, Brother Angry Snowman, you and I can agree with, let's just be honest. You got more kids today living at home. And I'm talking about not living until they're 22. They're home until they're 30 and 35 and 40
Uh-huh.
years old. And they still act like somebody owes them something. They have never grown up. And these adults, they're trying to be friends with their children as well. Because some of these adults, even my age and your age, they still think they're 20 again. And they act like it. And a lot of this behavior that we're talking about, they have a lot of degenerate behavior, a lot of evil behavior. They
Yeah,
do.
I think that fair to say that there's a lot of things that get swept under the rug of our private home life, a lot of skeletons in people's closets that people tend to not reveal when they get on these platforms, you know? Because it seems like everybody's a fucking doctor on here. Everybody's a psychologist. Everybody's a rocket scientist. Everybody's a business owner. Everybody, makes six figures. Everybody lives, in the suburbs and has a fucking $600,000 house with, six cars, and their kids go to private school and this, that, and the other. And for some strange reason, when we get on these platforms, we cannot never find real America represented on here. It's all these people that suffer from delusions of grandeur.
Yeah, I did a video, a pre-recorded video on delusion. In fact, that is true because okay, now on my second channel, you can actually go see what I actually do because because I've been busy, in the last 3 days I've done 4 videos and I posted them to my other channel, and I'm not afraid to show anybody what I do. I work out in the construction field. When I'm off here, I'm out there doing
Yeah,
real.
you want to know what real life is? Go to a construction work site sometime. And you'll see real America in full swing and in real time right there.
Yeah, I'm out there in it 6 days a week, and it's hot. Let me tell
It's
you something.
it's hot. You got to deal with other people's bullshit. You got to be, respectable and aware of other people around you. You're either following someone or you're holding someone up. That's real America at work right there, and the majority of it, 99.8% of it, is all males trying to figure out how to get shit done.
All right, Latinay, you might want to take on this. She says, "No, it doesn't matter what line of work you do. People are going to be people anywhere you go." Well, that's that.
It
That's
does matter, especially if you're labeling it people are going to be people, then it doesn't matter. But if you're going to label it female managers are much more of a nightmare, then yes, it does matter what line of work you're in. See, now you just jumped. You first you said females, and now you're saying people. So which one are we addressing? Are we addressing people as a whole or men and women?
yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be a dick about it or anything.
No. No. That you made a fair assessment because you can't interchange from one to another, and that's that. I'm not saying that. Now she might not understand it. That's when it comes to people I talk to. They are very good. They're very good at that. That's that Machiavellianism I've been telling you about, where if you don't catch it, and politicians are very good with that. They'll Nate put it up on his channel. What's his name? Uh, Dr. Lamont Hill or Michael Eric Dyson. They'll use these big words, knowing that we don't know what they mean, but we already can see through it. Now, Laughing Dog says something very clown world about being in Panera, and a rainbow mafia flag is in the window right above the Muslim women in their traditional garb. Probably the last time I ate there. I've never eaten at Panero. And Latin Patriot said, I've heard other people speak about their governments from government high wage jobs to wages, low skilled jobs. And she also says, I've had my own experiences, and women are okay. She says,
No, 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 no. You're not doing that, Latin. Sorry, no. You're right. Women are people, but you addressed women specifically in your first comment and then switched it up to people. Those are two different arguments. You're not going to sit and do that.
That's cognitive dissonance coming from two conflicting issues, or it's almost a straw man. So That's true. That's
You know, you either stay consistent with who you're talking about in the in your comment, but you're not going to sit and bounce back and forth and then sit and say and act as if it's the same argument, because it's not.
No. That's true.
You know, that's why there's so many. That right there is the type of shit. And I'm not doing this to be a dick, but it's that stuff right there is why there's so many different. Why we have a problem with people being able to communicate nowadays. That's why there's a communication barrier, because people don't realize that words matter, and the words you choose to use matter. Call me a freak, I don't care. Words matter. The only reason why you're calling me a freak is because I'm right.
Well, that is a good assessment. Because I know people that I talk to, and you have some people, if you don't catch it right away, they can interchange things. And well, you think about these pastors, you think about these politicians, they do it. They're talking about they're talking about one thing. And
well, an easy way to get this to be where it can be understood even by simple people is that'd be like people that are against for instance, pit bulls. Pit bulls are aggressive and dangerous dogs is my first comment.
Right.
Well, that depends on what kind of pit bull you got. Well, all dogs are like that. Dogs are dogs. That's changing the subject. Now we just went from talking about pit bulls to talking about dogs as a whole. First we were talking about women. Now we're talking about people as a whole. Words matter.
Well, that content that you're using, yes, because people is both men and women. Women is specific.
Latin, if you think you're going to try and trigger me, you got me confused. You can't do it. You're not good enough. Your troll game is not on point.
There's a link. She always come on up. I dropped the link.
I mean, if you want to come up here and debate me on how you think I'm wrong, and that way I can tell you face to face how you're wrong, I'm more than willing. I'll even sit here and I'll mute myself so you can say whatever it is you want to say.
Hey, shout out to you. Good evening, Alice. Well, I mean, that's true, but you're right. We tend to try to we want to be good, but yes, on any given day we can be evil. I got you just sharing your opinion. I got you. I understand. Brother Free Zone, women. Well, now this is what Latin said.
Well, see, the reason why I said it depends on what kind of line of work you're in is because I don't see a problem with women being in charge of women.
No, I don't either. But when they're out there with men, yeah, right.
If you're working somewhere where you're in an office and the office is nothing but women working in the office, run by a woman, then I don't see no problem with that. You know what? That's just you having to deal with what you have to deal with every day. Sucks that you're a woman and you have to deal with someone like you telling you what to do. But as far as women being involved in men's lines of work and women leading men, I really don't have. That causes problems.
Spit it out.
It just causes all kinds of problems. It really does.
Well, Brother Free Zone says women in charge are the worst. Most of them have a chip on their shoulder, and it's, you know what? That's a fact. That's a fact. And yeah, like the stream, and Latin Patriot says, I'm a woman, and I've experienced female bosses in many areas. Okay, and I understand that. Now, what areas do you talk about, Latin Patriot? Because, I mean, have you worked in construction? Have you worked in the kitchen? Have you worked in the office? Because I can tell you, I've worked in the office, and I've seen female bosses in the office, and they show their tail off.
Well, see, like my wife, she works in retail. I think that's a great place for women to work. Women understand, the subtle nuances about, things needing to catch a man's eye or catch a shopper's eye, for instance. They're almost borderline what's the word I'm looking for?
Are
Where you got to have everything in its place. You know what I'm saying?
organized?
Yeah, it's there's a
Order?
yeah, but you know they pay attention to that kind of shit. You know,
Detail.
retail is a great place for them. You know, I think like restaurants and things like that, office work where they're working in an office. Yeah, absolutely. But there's certain things that just women they aren't meant for women, and construction is definitely one of them.
Yeah. Well,
You know, because all a woman, think about it. Every time I ever saw a woman come on a construction site, all they did was stifle work from being done.
and many of them, when I'm out there, like when they're laying pavement, they're out there holding the sign up. Now, yeah, you got to walk with that sign, but they're getting good money for that sign. And Alice says women can't handle men's jobs. Know from personal experience. Latine, I'm trying not to be nitty gritty technical. I'm just speaking. Well, don't speak in. Well, here when I want specifics where you've seen it. That's what we're talking about. I mean, that's just a straw man.
Well, like for instance, when I worked at the St. Mary's Foundry, it was a gray and ductile iron foundry. All right, I noticed that when I first started there, it was all men that worked in the place.
Right.
All men. The only two women that worked in the place was the secretary, who worked in the front offices. There was a secretary. There was there was three. There was a secretary. There was another one that worked in the payroll office that wrote all our checks, and then there was a woman that worked in HR. And they all worked separate. Like you never saw these women out in the foundry. Like HR, the only time you saw her was when you had to have an HR related issue. The only time you saw the other two that worked in the office was if you went in the office. That was it. But the rest of the foundry and the foundry itself specifically was ran and conducted by men. Then all of a sudden, the guy that owned the place, he died. His daughter ended up getting control of the place. It started being ran by a woman. And then we started seeing more women getting hired out on the floor area where the work was getting done. We saw the company start losing money. We saw the company start losing contracts, and we saw work, the actual work itself, the work practices and quality of work started going downhill.
Right. Now, Alice says women are good with details, and Latin Patriot says, and I agree with this. In Latin, you're exactly right, because I can tell you right now, I have never, and Brother Free Zone will be coming up next. I've never had a good female boss, and I worked in some call centers, and some of them that I had that were really poor, the ABW. Oh, they were showing off.
I love it when I see Free Zone hop up with the actual old Free Zone avatar because we know who we're about to get.
Oh yeah.
What's cracking? Do I sound clear?
What's popping, brother?
I'm cooling, man. Cool. Eating with the family. Just finished. Do I sound clear?
Dude, you sound a little hollow and muffled.
Yeah.
All right. Give me a second.
All right. Alice says construction is too hard on female bodies and weren't built like men's. Our strength and our hips, not upper and construction needs of upper body. In fact, I work in construction. I know. And let me tell you something. I'm out there every day carrying some equipment. Hey, Anna, how are you? Welcome to the chat. Let me tell you, Free Zone. In English, Snowman. I'm carrying some 50-pound equipment out there at 57 years old, and it's hot, it's heavy.
Bro, I used to tell people when I was a roofer that they didn't realize how much weight I would carry just from my hips. Because I'd have the tool belt that had two pouches on each side.
Oh.
You'd have your big-ass framing hammer hanging off your back, off of that with your tape measure holder. Then like me, when I roofed, I did, it was called specialty roofing, where you're doing like Spanish tile, wood shake, slate roof, shit like that.
Yeah.
So you need other tools rather than, so you got your 10 snips, you got your rights, your lefts, your straights, you got benders, you got, a screwdriver if you need it, and then you got nails, and you know you got your fucking your masonry nails and this, that, and the other. So you're literally walking around with an extra probably 70, 80 pounds just hanging off of your hips. And then sometimes you're sitting there with another probably 40, 50 pounds of a couple bundles of shingles on your shoulders while you're climbing up and down these ladders on top of it.
And yeah, Alice says the only good female boss I had when I was a man over her to keep her in check. It was in the medical field. Yeah, no, that's where you have a lot of females. Go ahead, brother.
Do I sound better?
Yeah, you do sound better now.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. All right, so when we talk about female leaders, how high are we going?
Oh,
like I said, for me, what I said about that is when I was saying it depends on what kind of position you're in. Is I think female leadership is more so meant for female. I don't have a problem with a woman being in charge of women.
Gotcha.
You know, or being in like corporate retail, because that is more directed towards women anyhow. But when you start getting into things that actually help America move, that actually help civilizations grow and evolve, no, women don't need to be a part of that. And especially when it comes to the actual governance and the direction a country is moving, women absolutely do not need to be a part of that.
Yeah, I agree. And just and of course there's a lot of nuances in it. There are good female bosses out there somewhere, just like there's horrible male bosses out there somewhere. So we don't keep it general. Generally speaking, women are better at noticing the details, but men are a lot better at executing a plan. So if you have the ideal situation, again, generally speaking, would be where the women collect so like, let's say in a retail setting, right? The women would be a lot better at looking at, what type of shoppers look for what type of product. Whereas the man would be better at executing that information so that particular product is shown more to the people who want it. It's something like that. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's something like that. When you give women leaders full autonomy and power, like for example, like managers or CEOs, it tends to not go well, especially if there's a change of arm. So let's say like you had a male manager and then they switch over to a female manager. Most of the time that shit is going to go downhill.
You mean like
what's up?
You mean like YouTube?
Yeah, there you go. There was a time where YouTube was like Rumble. You could say whatever you wanted to say. You weren't going to get doxxed. You weren't going to get flagged or anything like that. But now there's so many things that they say that you can't say. I don't give a fuck. I'll say it all. But
well, you know, to what you were saying, what you were saying, Lou. You do have a very valid point, because like the wife, she's right now she's an assistant store manager of a Kohl's here in Fort Wayne, and she'll probably end up having her own store, I would say, by this time next year at the latest. I mean, because she's already been interviewed for a position. The thing is even her as in that kind of leadership role, like the store she works for, they have the positions are that you have two ASMs, which are assistant managers, and then the SM, the store manager. You have the store manager is basically in charge of the store. You have an ASM, which is his right hand man, which would be my wife's position. They're the second in charge, and then you have the third or the second ASM, which is basically the entry level type of assistant store manager. All right.
Right.
Who they get a little bit of responsibility, but not enough, not the bulk of it. And the wife, now that she's moved up into, that secondary role and getting ready to transition into that, actually running a store role, she has said that she cannot believe the number of women that come in thinking that they can be in a leadership role, that once they get into it, it becomes so overwhelming that they allow the store to just flop.
Well, some
Oh
of
yeah.
them do, yeah, some of them do that because they know that the men are going to clean it up. Now, Latin Patriot says, and this is, and I agree with this. Well, not every single male boss that I've had, but she says every single boss that she's had were great. Even the boss that ran the whole show gave good constructive criticism, and I accepted it because it made me a better employee, and that opens more opportunities. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say I would say for me personally, I would switch her sentence slightly. Every great manager that I've had was a guy. It was a man.
Well, I'll
I'll
be
say I'll
honest.
say it like that. The
I
ones that were bad were typically either all women. All the women that I've had were horrible, but
yeah.
there were also
You were in Air
some
Force,
bad.
you know,
Oh yeah,
Air Force.
yeah, man. They're just not. It's to the nature too. It's not even like a diss to them because of putting a woman in the right place would allow, like, I've seen it myself where you put a woman in a certain place. It's not necessarily there's a certain level of leadership, but it's not like full-fledged autonomy, iron fist. You know what I'm saying? And when they're in that position, they make the business better, or they make the organization, they make the team better. But to just give them full autonomy, reign, all like, nah, man. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's even more true with women.
especially when you have emotional power that's absolute.
Yeah, because I worked at NDOT. I had a woman boss, and she came in there trying to be the man. And Rick Powers,
Yeah,
Rick Powers at one time was the district, the deputy district director. That was. She said she wasn't going to listen to him, and next thing you know, guess what? She was packing her bags.
Well, you guys know how you've heard me say multiple times that, men are supposed to, when they find a mate to be a wife, they're supposed to train their wife to be the person that they need for them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the man's job. You're supposed to train your wife. Well, because I've done that with my wife, I've trained her. I ain't going to lie. She won't either. She'll tell you the truth. I've trained her to be the best woman that, would benefit me and what it is that I'm trying for us to accomplish. That now that she has that leadership role at work, where most of the questions, problems, and this, that, and the other that arise come to her, she actually comes to me for advice about how to handle situations at work.
Yeah.
And how you should be as a leader.
Yeah.
And I think that's where she might actually have a leg up on some of these women, because I share some of the things that a lot of women don't understand. Like I told her, if you want your employees to respect you, be a working boss.
Yeah.
Don't be a boss that just sits in the office all the time. Nobody respects that. But if you're out there on the floor and you're actually working side by side with your employees, and you show them that you won't have a problem working with them and getting dirty and doing what needs to be done, they respect you.
Well, shout out to Alice. She says even Alice admits she's tried doing roofing. She said she would never do it again. Latin A said, I would never work under a man like Snowman who likes to argue with everyone. Wow.
Yeah, well, you know what? The truth of the matter is, Latin, is I would never put up with a woman like you. I would never allow some woman who is basically borderline bipolar and schizophrenic all mixed up into one be in my house and around my kids.
Wow. All right. Alice thinks these community standards were created by a woman on the rag. Lat says no woman should ever be a manager in anything. Wow. Oh, cyber toxin. Bossy women just have deep-seated insecurities they will never admit to. And salute Brother Nate. Welcome to the chat. Latin Patriot. I know of a person that was sabotaged from moving into a different area for better pay and better job because her female boss wanted to keep her as a servant because boss was lazy. And all right.
But see that right there. See that's Leon. It's that shit right there is proving my point about how emotionally unhinged and unstable women are. I mean, we're up here having a conversation, and she's literally in the chat trying to start an argument and trigger me because I pointed out that we can't have a discussion about women in the work field and then change it to people in the work field because now we're having two different discussions.
Well, like I said,
you know, and it goes right back to, you know, what we was talking about the other day, Free Zone, when I had that stream where we was reviewing that unhinged woman on that other channel. Sometimes it seems like it is impossible to get, no matter how you explain it, to get women to understand simple things like that.
Right. No, I understand exactly what you're saying.
You know, it's like no matter how you go about it, how you label it, how you word it, it just won't hit home.
Now, Cybertoxin says men are typically more patient as leaders. You know, now I'll be honest. One fault that I have with myself is, I'm not gonna lie, I had OCD because I was perfection, and I know I couldn't do it, and I wasn't as. I'm growing to be more patient because let's be honest. I work out construction, brothers, and you don't always have the smartest crop of guys working out in construction. You don't.
See, proving my point yet again. The next one. Did you read that comment? Proving my point yet again.
Snowman, you don't know me personally or anything, so don't tell lies, what you're good at doing, lying so much.
See, that's the thing is, I don't lie. I stay consistent on everything. That's why the guys and the men that rock with me, even though there's people that don't like me because I said things that were offensive. Because I'm honest and I stay true to who I am, and I don't bounce back and forth from one square to the next.
Well, I have talked to you off, and no, you stay pretty consistent, just like me, and sometimes the truth hurts, and this is
it'd be kind of hard for a liar to hate liars as much as I do.
And usually, if a person lies, they can't retrace where they started the first lie. They forget that too. And this is why
my dad was a pathological liar. I grew up around that, and that's why I hate liars. It was him lying so much and watching him literally have to backtrack and watching the expressions on his face when he would tell someone a different story than someone he told the same story to, 2, 3, 4 weeks, a couple years ago, and realizing at such a young age that, man, seems like life would be just a whole lot easier if you just told the truth, and then you wouldn't have to sit here and wonder, what did I tell him and him and him and him?
Right. All right. Yeah, well, we're not gonna okay. Let's continue on. I mean
Hey, the thing is sometimes it's great, Leon, because sometimes the topics that you're having unfold in real time.
Well, let me tell you. And speaking of it, I'm gonna go back to the Dark Triad. And this is probably going to hurt some women folks out there, but the biggest leg of that triangle that I see women, they have that Machiavellianism. And you know what Machiavellianism? It's deception. And sometimes, no matter whom I'm talking to, they tend to, when I have even with my own mom, when I have a conversation with my own mom, she will come up with something else that's not even, let's call it a straw man argument. And this is where it's conflict that can be avoided. And this is why a number of individuals out here are going MGTOW. And shout out to
yeah, is that Better Men's Daily as far as the feedback?
Yeah, it's Better Men's Daily. They get Brother G up here. Brother G, I just dropped the link. Hop up here.
Yeah, I like talking to him. He's a good dude.
Hop up here.
He seems like a pretty based individual as well.
Well, basically, you know what I have on my channel, and brother Nate, everybody. But Yeah, but that's the whole thing when we deal with people now. Okay, this goes back, brother Angry Snowman.
Mm-hmm.
Are adults, do a number of adults have immaturity issues? I
All
mean,
day long, dude.
I already know they do. I already know they do.
I mean, think about it. When we have discussions with a lot of folks, we can't even have a simple disagreement of ideas or topics. I mean, if you disagree even in the slightest with someone, most generally nowadays speaking, when having any kind of intellectual discussion, the discussion instantly goes from intellectual to ad hominems and just schoolyard buffoonery.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And this is why I put up there. When we deal with adults, are we really dealing with adults, or are we really dealing with children? And what I'm going to say is, most of what I see out here, they're overgrown. They're really children because for some reason their bodies and their age, they're chronological, but their mind stayed back in high school or something.
Well, it's because they were never forced. Think about it. A lot of these adults, even some people from our generation included, because let's be real,
We're in Generation X, man. All right,
yeah.
cool.
Well, no, there's some at the tail end of Generation X that were at the beginning of that whole participation trophy era.
You talking about the millennials? The millennials, yeah, facts.
Now, there a lot of these guys. The reason why it seems like they're still children that are basically in grown folks' costumes is because they never had to go through the normal, social issues and the social stigmas of trying to find yourself and where you fit in and the hierarchy of, just social, the social status and, the whole pecking order of everything. Kids aren't forced to go through that anymore. And that's part of growing up and going from a child into an adult, is going through that, that forced trauma of, having to find your place in the social pecking order and then operate in it and accept where you are. We have kids that have been told that everybody's equal, that, you're all the same. As long everybody participated, no one's better than the other, all the way through childhood up into high school, some of them all the way even up into college. And then when they get out of all these government run and government funded, education centers or indoctrination centers, as I call them, and they get out into the real world and find out how people really operate and how the world operates, they find out that the first 18 to 25 years of their life, they've literally been lied to and told that this is how things are and how they're going to be. And then when you go out into the real world and actually start taking part in it, you find out that the real world is really a nasty place if you're not set up and shown how to operate.
That's a fact. And with a number of adults being children as well themselves, their parents didn't teach them about adulthood, and there's a lot of delusion taking place. When I do all these behavioral issues, not necessarily mental health, but they're behavioral issues, and I am not a licensed therapist or psychologist. I just enjoy the topic because when it comes to people's actions, they can affect us. Again, I'm going to use something very common: our politicians. Their lack of knowledge of how the real world works, because they're grifters, they've been given an opportunity to basically line their own pockets through lobbyist groups, gerrymandering the districts every election. This is why the same incumbents get in basically every election, because they end up with the money while the challenger can't get the money, except for the truck driver in New Jersey. But these are the individuals. When we talk about the biggest deceivers, your pastors, your lawyers, your legislatures, those three areas right there, those are areas where You deal with people. And you deal with people, you can sit there and lie to people to make them feel good. And once they hook you with their words, then what happens, you end up being disappointed later on. That's exactly what happens.
Well, Leon, first off, I'd like to point out you don't have to have a degree in the medical in the mental health medical field or any of that in order to make an observation about what's going on around you. You know, you don't have to have a degree to be able to look in a dictionary and look up what the definition of bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or manic depression or Munchausen or, you know, any of these other host of things that we talk about and understand what it is after you read the definition. All right? You don't have to have a degree for that stuff. Damn, my brain just farted on me on where I was going after that. What was you talking about when you ended? Because I know it had something to do with that.
Well, I was talking about the different psychological topics that I post on my channel. I just mentioned, okay, I read and I observe what's going on. I give the definitions. I read articles. And, I do find it intriguing that I see some individuals that display certain types of behavior that I had mentioned, and I don't even have to be around them. It's in this space. It was in here tonight.
Right. Well, I think it's because we give it a pass a lot of times. We don't call it out. And I think that comes from this whole let's not talk about politics and religion at the dinner table and at the bar type mentality. Absolutely. We give people a pass and we don't point out when they're acting a fool or they're acting out of pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we do it just for what? For the greater good of, maybe the panel or the chat or the environment that we're around, but we continue to allow these toxic behaviors to go on unchecked and unmentioned and pointed out just to, appease a few rather than pointing it out. That way we can eliminate it and the many can see what the real problem is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Well,
now as far as the government, man, and you was talking about them and their issues, a lot of their issues the reason why they are out of touch with reality and what the real common man and woman are going through is, first off, you got to realize, like you said, a lot of these guys have been in there so long that they've lost touch with reality. They live in this, delusional, house on in the high tower, kind of mind state where, they're sitting up there eating $50, $60 filet mignon and you're getting the scraps that they're tossing out the window type deal. And then the other issue we have is the issue with nepotism itself. A lot of these people that are coming up, the younger generation, and it's been like that throughout history in America and all across the globe is, we live, it's all, they're bringing up their children who have all lived in this same, out of touch with reality mindset because they've never had to actually live with the quote unquote common folk, so they're coming in and taking over these roles as their parents, or grandparents are checking out on them. And so you end up with the same cycle, only now it's worse because maybe their parents built their wealth from the ground up, starting out in politics with nothing and know what it's like to be blue collar. But now you got these little pricks that are getting these jobs because of nepotism, because of their name, that have never understood what it's like to actually have to go out and work.
But going back to when we were talking about women as leaders and what's going on with the modern women here in this country, I just thank you, Brother Men's Daily. He brought up something with a MGTOW film up there. I mean, I remember some MGTOW guys. I know they're still up there, like Hammerhand. I mean, Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay, Laughing Dog. That's okay. Well, thank you for coming up. You can definitely stay in the chat, though.
We don't feel like smelling wet dog anyway.
but you mentioned something too, getting down to the truth, and what I see coming from you. I don't care what anybody says. You're welcome on my panel because you do come speak the truth, and it really disgusts me. Okay, it disgusts me. Okay, this is why. This is why. Okay, when two men, regardless of race, I mean, they have like minds, and with you, I don't. I don't see race, regardless of what was said in the past. I see that we can come, learn from each other, and that's what men are supposed to do.
Right.
Too often, I see a lot of frivolous arguing, and now I know that we got to keep our channel a man's channel. I might, it's got me thinking about just.
Yeah, I saw your gears turning, dude, in real time. I really did. I was sitting here watching your gears just turning, going around, going to town.
It just and I respect Latin, but I don't know. She's she came up here and there was another person named Willow on here got offended, and that's okay. You can be, but I'm going to expose the delusion, and if it's here now, all we do, and sometimes we'll talk about it, and not that we give them passes, they just go away themselves because what we do, we get deeper and deeper and deeper, and we put them in a quicksand they can't get out.
Well, and the truth of the matter is it's like this. First off, you see men always on this platform speaking with each other. And most of these platforms that we go around to, the majority of the time, it's all men having discussions. If you don't like what you hear, seriously, if you're a female and you don't like what you're hearing, if it offends you, if it upsets you, if it causes you to feel like you're going to get out of pocket, if it causes you to, want to just, rage and all this, that, and the other, then fucking leave. No one asked you to be here to begin with.
And that is the thing I say here on my channel, and I take a little piggyback from Teapot. I will not defend women on this channel. I will not.
Never.
You get people like, now, the only time I did.
The only woman I see you defending is like me. You'll defend your old lady, Tomadine.
Yeah.
The only woman I'm defending is my wife and my daughters. That's it. Other than that, the rest of you bitches are on your own.
Yeah. Now the only one, because my brother Matt, and shout out to him, he had COVID. That's why he hadn't been up here. He brought his cousin Jasmine up here, and truism. He said, "I want a piece of her," and I'm like, "I'm not going, not tonight," because see, I was respecting Matt, but if it had been any other woman, I'd let a truism come on up here, and I would sit down there and drink a little.
Oh, is that night that that black girl was up here? Me and her were getting into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. He did want to come up here. He wanted to come up here bad.
But you see what happened.
But even I realized that there was a point in that conversation to where the brothers that were up here, they started speaking, and I fell back even. This was no longer my argument to be had. I made my point. I put, how I saw the situation out there, my thoughts on it. And, I defended my thoughts on it a couple times, and then I watched the other men, start to build off of that. And then I fell back and let you guys handle the shit because at that point it was no longer my argument to be had.
Well, but the funny thing about it is when I jumped in there, the whole situation changed. She started agreeing because I was actually saying the same thing. And I know where this was heading because you had mentioned, she said, well, wait a minute, because I'm a Caucasian guy, now you're going to agree with me after I said the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I knew where that was going. I knew where that was going. So that's why I had to chime in before it got bloodied. And, here on the channel, I won't let it get bloody, just like on because here, what I seek to do, and we're almost at our 2-hour mark. We've talked about the Dark Triad. I've talked about the Light Triad. We've talked about the adults, and at the
Look
2
at it
hour
as
mark,
look at it as like the Force and the what's the other side of it? The dark side.
the dark, yeah,
You know, you
yeah.
got the Force and then the dark side. That's how you see both of these triads.
Well, and that's why, because like I said, one lady left because she said she was blessed. Okay, you might be blessed, but I don't know if you're blessed. That's what you're telling me. Okay, that's what you're telling me. I mean, you can tell me anything, but your house could be an outright dysfunctional place to live. That's right, Cyber. I took control of that one, and I didn't have to yell and scream. I just do it differently. And we had the funny thing is, Angry Snowman, he put his style out there. I put my style out there, and we went smooth the rest.
Well, the thing is when when you actually start having communications and engage in conversation with people enough, you start actually getting a feel for their conversation style and their tactics on how they approach and attack certain issues and topics. And with that, like I said, I'd put all I could put out there at that point. When you decided you wanted to jump in, the only thing I could do is continue to, argue the same things I had already argued, because what I had to say was it was missing the mark. It wasn't hitting home with her at all whatsoever. Then you chimed in. Then Lou chimed in. Then the other guy chimed in. And at that point, all I could do, I didn't have to do anything. I fall back. There's no reason for me to even speak on this anymore, because now you have a melanated woman who is being addressed by melanated men about the same thing that I had already spoke on, and being told, no, you are actually wrong with your ideology and how you see this. And and I think it's because I fell back and allowed you to handle your platform and the rest of the brothers to, you guys to work together to get your point across. When I did come back on, she actually was able to have a discussion with me then afterwards, rather than argue with me.
Because I did talk to Brother Matt after. I talked to him after, and there's nothing wrong with being who you are. Yes, that's right. Cyber Toxin says, I could see her understanding more than she listened. See, the thing about it is, and I know Latin mentioned the word opinion. Let's get the word opinion out in the open right now, because that word, you talk about a trigger word, it triggers me because there are a number of people who don't understand that you can have an opinion, but if you can't back your opinion up, it's never going to be listened to. And I believe one thing that feminism has taught some of these women is this illusional power of having an opinion. I don't care if you disagree with me. Can you bring something in to back up your opinion? I can do that. Brother G can do that. But the bottom line is, some of these women don't. They want to hear themselves talk because it makes them feel they get delusional superiority by calling men out. And see, here's the thing I will tell you, and this has happened to me when I was talking to women on the phone. Whenever I got them triggered, guess what they would do? Hang up the phone on me.
And they would probably use ad hominems first before they hung the phone up.
Ad hominems. They would tell me shaming attack. It's funny how some men use the SBE, shame, blame, and explain. I never use that. That's female traits. Shame, blame, and explain. No. But the bottom line is, when you put and I can put the truth out there and not be raw, but guess what? It still comes out raw. Why? Because it's the truth. It's not my truth, it's the truth. Shout out to laughing. Ladies like her aren't tolerated at proper white boy culture. You guys,
he ain't lying.
They are relegated back to their husbands and not allowed to speak to others.
Look, he's not lying. Look, dude, I know a lot of men. Myself, look, even when my wife, when we first got married and we were coming up as a married couple, there was a couple times that she got way drunker than what she should have and was acting out of pocket and downright embarrassing to her, even myself, that, I told her, I apologized to everybody. I grabbed her up and I said, we are leaving. And we would leave, and then when we got home, look, you are never going to fucking act like that again out in public. You are never going to drink like that again. You are never going to embarrass us like that again, because it isn't just you that you made look like a fool. It is me. You know, and I don't want to be one of those guys that when I come with me and my wife, all my buddies are saying, hey, dude, you need to do something about your wife. You know, because dudes will do that. We will put each other's wives in check. Look, dude, you see your wife over there acting a fucking fool? You need to go over there and put that bitch in check or get the hell out of here.
You know, that is a fact, and this is what brothers don't do. They let their women, because that's not going to happen to me. Not going to happen.
No, because just like your kids, your wife is a direct reflection of the type of
right.
person you are as a man.
Right, and there are a lot of black dudes, and I've seen it myself. Man, their women are cussing at them in public. I'm like, no. We going.
What's up, Brother G?
Yeah, Brother G, welcome. What's going on?
Hey, I'm kicking back laughing at y'all, man. I'm trying to hold it together because, see, look, there was situations. I was that guy. For real, I was the guy that warned the other guy about his wife or his girlfriend. Like, you know, yes, I was that dude. Yeah, I was at all right. Have you guys ever, I have a real estate background. Have you guys went to like a networking event, you know, a banquet or some shit like that, right?
Yeah.
And there's like.
Yeah, I went to Amway, if you ever heard of that. They tried to get me that. And I got an Amway, it was networking and everything. But, you know, there was a lot of people there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, when you're in real estate, I tend to go to like a lot of those events, man. They host like free beer, finger food, all types of shit there or whatever, right? Prizes or whatever. But also we're talking about deals shit. You know, I was trying to get rid of a couple of my properties at the time.
Right.
And I seen a guy's wife out there, right? We would all come together and the wife is flirting her ass off with like the host, a guy he does business with, the UPS guy, like hardcore. And I'm like,
she had no morals.
Yes, man. Yes. And I would address that shit, man. You know, and then not just me, other people. Damn, that's your wife. That's how she get down. And he's going over there and, you know, trying to, you know, rectify the situation. And of course, you know, like I always say, though, only a woman will only do what a man allows, man. And she didn't have any respect. And she, of course, she hit him with the, I was just being friendly and everything. And okay, cool. And, you know, of course, he let her run over, you know, the appropriate way to handle it. This is just me. Okay. The appropriate way to handle it. You address it once. If you address it once, okay, and if she acts like that she's not doing nothing wrong or whatever, god damn it, shit, I'll go to my partners or whoever. You guys have a good night. I'm out of here. And I left her ass at that goddamn party. That's just me. You know, I would have left motherfucker.
That's
you know,
you heard me leave that bitch.
Yeah, because you're not going to embarrass me, and you're not going to embarrass the marriage that we have. You know, in order for you to try to soak up all the attention or all the narcissistic fuel, whatever the fuck you got. You know, I just can't put myself in that situation. You know, so me, I'm the type of person I would remove myself from the situation if I'd have done something stupid and got married. But in that particular guy's case, because I've seen this happen multiple times, I was that guy, man, and it was like, it was embarrassing, man. You know, it was like pretty fucked up. You know, I've seen it where that same guy's wife flirted with the guy, one of our partners, yeah, within the group, and there's like hundreds of people just watching this shit.
Well, look, dude, I was with my middle two kids' mom when I was with her. She was dude. I knew she was such an embarrassing woman that I wouldn't even take her anywhere with me. That I was going to be around people that I actually, you know, valued their opinions on things. Sure. You know. If I was going around those people, don't worry about where the fuck I'm going. I'll be back. You know, type shit. I'm not taking you around these people. All you're going to do is, dude, you make a fool out of you, and then you're making an ass out of me.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we men. You got to realize that this is why I said a man who's ahead of his household must understand that your family starts going on acting a fool, especially when you go to restaurants. Because I remember when let me tell you, I remember I lived in this place called Millersville, Maryland, which is in Anne Arundel County, Maryland, south of Glen Burnie.
Okay.
I would go to Golden Corral. You know, it's a buffet, and you know and you know what goes in the Golden Corral. Man, the kids were running amok, yelling, and these weren't just black kids; they were white screaming, and you know, I'd say, look. Now the lightning from God hit me because I'd said something I shouldn't have said. I said, you better grab up this little, you know what, before something happens in here. And, you know, I'm trying to sit down. I'm paying mine, whatever it was. You know, I had my family in there at that time and trying to have a good meal, but you ain't controlling these. You know, you need to strap up. And you know, when they got around their mamas, they didn't have, you know, it's funny, when their mamas allow their kids to run around and act a fool, they don't respect their mamas. And then these kids think they can go out not respecting other people either.
That's how it works. That's how it works. That's how exactly how it works.
Dude, I tell you what, I wouldn't think twice to slap the shit out of a little motherfucker for running his mouth on my property.
Yeah, I knew that was coming out of you. But
I wouldn't think twice, dude. I would fucking, dude, I'm gonna tell you what, I would fucking wrench him up just like he was one of my own kids, and for real, dude, not even think twice. I think I've actually got yelled at before for busting other people's kids' ass as it came over and was hanging out with my kids.
Yeah, man, that's it. Yeah,
dude, there's this
and be willing to go to jail.
Yes,
just be willing.
Not care. This little motherfucker, dude, I didn't care. You could do anything you want out here. You see all the toys for the kids. They're all out here. This little motherfucker wanted to keep going in my shed where all my shit was. And I told him, stay out of my fucking shit. Well, every time I turned my back, he'd be in my shit, dude. I'm going to tell you what, finally last time, I fucking got him right by the back of his fucking neck, and I fucking threw him down on the ground. I said, you want me to fucking beat you just like I'm your fucking dad that took off missing?
Oh, yeah.
He went home and told his mama come over and tried that fucking, you know, straight out of fucking the hillbilly heaven trailer park fucking white girl fucking routine with me. And I was like, look, bitch, you need to get your fucking kids under control before he ends up at fucking JDC, or better yet, knocking up some other fucking bitch that's going to end up raising a kid just like the one you got.
Yeah, he's heading right there, Juvenile Detention Center, heading right there, right downtown. We got a full of them downtown.
Or somewhere else.
Or you want to go to hell, man? Go to white fucking ghettos, dude. The fucking hillbilly trailer park hell, dude. Man, I'm gonna tell you what. It is the fucking most dysfunctional fucking shit you've ever seen in your life.
He said dysfunctional.
Well, that's why we're talking about all this stuff, and we've been joined by Cyber Toxin. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, Cyber?
What's good? Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
I really just had a quick question for you. I was wondering if you have considered doing a review of Hegelian dialectic on your channel.
Hey, send that to my email, because brother G left some MGTOW stuff, and I gotta go watch that. Hey, I gotta watch what I put up there, because man, I put a stream up there, man. YouTube cut my stream, and I may take some of your stuff, brother G, make a pre-record, and then use that pre-record, and I'll use it on my stream. That way they can't, because even with fair use, yeah.
What I usually do is I just send it to you and let you look at it first, man, and then you just make a determination what you want to do with it and everything, you know, because I appreciate hearing all the gold nuggets and red pill truth bombs you're launching, man. And I had a question for you.
Yes,
have you ever been the guy 411 where the woman embarrassed your ass in public, or you were the guy that warned the husband that the wife is embarrassing his ass in your presence in public? Have you been that guy? Either one of those situations.
The funny thing about it is I have never been that guy, but my brother's been that guy.
Hey,
so you were neither one of them. Neither one.
Let's keep it real, Mr. G. No offense for Leon, but he was a square in school, man. Square. Square.
My brother My brother had to go. He had to go and check somebody because woman. He told his dude, hey, say, look, your woman get out of pocket with me again, man. I'm going to throw some Mike Tyson at her.
God damn.
That was one warning. One warning.
My brother, well, because you got a lot of women out there, and here's another problem.
So you were the guy. So you were the guy that warned your brother, or there was someone else?
No, my brother warned somebody because his wife was jumping out of pocket. So he told, hey, you better get this in check. I'm gonna handle it like I'm gonna handle it. And that's how my brother is. Now I've never been that. I am
neither one. Not even a woman embarrass you in public or try to.
No, I wouldn't.
Wow.
I did one time.
Dodge some bullets.
I did one time in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Please share.
She was talking some stuff, and I put her ass right out there on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, man.
Was it in public? Was she in the supermarket?
No, I wouldn't play that. No, I would not play. Because if I had rules then. If you didn't like my car, if it was too junky for you, well, guess what? This car's still gonna get me from point A to point B because you don't have one. You're not putting gas in my car. See, I understand everything that Brother Angry Snowman and why people do become MGTOW and red pill and
I'm black pill, dude. Let's keep it real.
Well, I've kind of, believe it or not, I seem like I'm going more and more black pill. Because I told Tommy Jean, ain't nobody out here worth. You got a lot of banged up cars out here who think they're Rolls Royces out here.
Right, all these people picking their women out of the Auto Trader, and that's a free car magazine that you can get in every freaking store in town, man.
Yeah,
and
I'll tell you,
a lot of delusion going on out, and this is, and it's not just women. Some of the men out here, they've been raised by some of these women, but these men, they're still. I never use the term alpha and beta. I don't even trust those two terms because for the most part, individuals who would call themselves alphas, they weren't alphas, they were betas. An alpha to me is big on production. Okay. They're not putting vagina first. Okay. They're putting production. I mean, men, we're always talking about making plans to better. See, men, here's the thing, and I'm going to tell you, for the most part, when I was coming up, men and women do build, but here's the difference. Men build for everybody while women build for themselves.
Yes.
There it is.
It's a fact.
Women are selfish with their shit. I've told people a lot that that's the one thing that's the difference between men and women. Men will literally they will sacrifice everything for the greater good of the family unit.
Thank you.
They'll literally go through years of hell with someone just so the family itself, the unit, stays intact and there's integrity there. Whereas a woman, she'll sit there and pretend like everything's all right while she's plotting, scheming, stealing, and basically planning your demise.
Talking shit behind you. Yeah, talking shit behind your back, all that shit.
And then drop the fucking divorce, and then drop the divorce bomb on you without you even seeing it, like completely blindside you with it. A man, he'll be straight up with his wife and tell him, "Look, bitch, I'm not happy. There's some shit that needs to change. I still do it with my wife. I don't say, hey, bitch. I'm just like, hey, look, there's some shit that needs to change. I'm not happy with the way things are going. We need to address this.
And I know as a man,
women won't do that.
Yeah, I know if I'm a man and I've made mistakes here, and I've always said, hey, okay, I need to work on this. I am not afraid. And see, that's what has given me more confidence of being a man because I've embraced my fallacies. And listen to what I'm going to say about this. when you embrace your fallacies and you know what you got to work on and you're working on it, see, the difference to me is I don't take the words, I'm sorry. I take the words, okay. If you apologize, show me how you're going to fix it. And if you look, and this is when I talk about immature adults, these are ones who always put the blame on somebody else. They never want to be accountable for their actions. And that's why we have an immature type of society today. And this is why nothing is ever going to get done, because it starts from your leaders who are, and I'm not looking at party right now, okay? Just exclude party. What I'm slowly looking at is how you're behaving.
I'll be right back.
When you are confronted with a discussion, things you have to discuss. And
yes.
I understand now. You got the SYSBM out there. You got the passport bros out there. I'm actually understanding this whole system on why brothers are doing what they're doing, because here in America, it's really become a show of it's become a childlike country.
Yeah.
Individuals really don't want to produce. They have this idea that something is owed to them. I talked about it last week. Entitlement. They want something and they don't earn it. And my dad has always told me, and he's still living, there's no free lunch. And that is the problem. And here on panel, if I get the same guys that come up here every weekend, I'm all right with that. See, I don't want big panels, by the way. I like 4 to 6 people or 2 to 6 people. That's the way I like it, because I want people up here that we can have a real conversation, an intelligent conversation. You don't have to like us. You don't have to agree with us. But we're going to put out the truth, and all of us research. I can tell.
Yeah, me. One thing I peeped out about women generally, as far as greed and men providing, was if you watch that show called Bear Grylls Island, it was came out a few years back.
I remember Bear Grylls. Yes.
Okay. Right, where it came the women versus the men. Okay, and they had to survive on that island. You seen that episode?
Oh yeah, the men.
Yeah, it was a while back.
And everything, boy.
That exposed 100% of how capable a man is willing to look, because you got to remember, a lot of us guys, right, if we're put in the same area or whatever, a lot of us are going to have a lot of grudges, disagreements with each other, however, but we'll push that shit to the side in order for us to build common ground so we can survive the next day, man. Like, it's real. I mean, and those women remember the episode with the pigs? They took those little pigs and they sitting up here talking about they're hungry, and they took the damn little pigs and made them out of fucking goddamn pets and shit, talking about they're cute. And these bitches over, and the other women over there hungry and the motherfucker, they starving. Yeah, they didn't go out there, go fishing, and none of that shit or whatever until like later on. Like the brothers didn't set up here, man. These men set up here. What did they do, man? They built damn near cabins, a house. They done built an establishment and shit. They had one guy that he was a doctor. Yeah, he was a doctor. And whenever a guy got sick or whatever it may be, he did whatever he could to try to help out. I mean, guys had their little arguments, but at the end of the day, man, there was guys that come there and say, hey, man, stop this shit, man. We need to do X, Y, and Z. And they did that shit, man. And listen, they had to call the camera. They had to call the women called the show like, 2 to 4 times to come get a couple women off the island? Like, it was nuts, man.
Because they were arguing, they couldn't get it together. But I saw Bear Grylls take a scorpion, he cut the tail off, and he ate it. And
okay,
I saw some guys on it. They grabbed an iguana. I mean, this is a big reptile, and they killed it and they ate it. You had to. And the guys actually built some. I mean, they were taking bottles, everything. They built showers. They built They had some.
Was,
I mean,
was this the women against the men again?
Yeah, yeah. Bear Grylls, and yet you get some of the feminists saying, "No, we can do it better." No, you guys couldn't even survive on an island. And see that right there told me about everybody. Let me get to the poll right quick. And this is an important poll. 26 votes. Do American adults act like children when they don't get what they want or when they don't get their way? Well, modern adults do act like children. 92% yes, and 8% say no. I'd like those 8% to come up there and kind of debate that. But that's my poll I took. But again, there's an understanding, like, you know, every time I have you on my panel, see, I didn't understand too much of SYS. I've heard of it. Mad Bus Driver, he came up with the acronym back in, he's been out there for a long time.
Yeah, he's been out there for a while. Did you watch the recent video he just dropped? Like, I was asleep on the man. I was asleep for a while. And I was on another panel of Pablo Frescobar, shout out to him. And there was a lot of YSBMs coming on the panel, you know, just talking and everything. And they rung up his name, and I went over there and then subscribed to his channel, listened to some of his videos. All the rest of it is history now. Like, he's not missing a beat, man, on everything that he's saying, man. Like, lately he's been talking about how the BW is getting even more and more pissed off, and then some of the women are getting desperate because they're seeing brothers leave, you know, because in their mind that they were supposed to get ran through in their teens and their 20s by the thugs, the bad boys, Pookies, and Ray Rays, and then when they hit in their 30s and 40s, the guys that they blew off, the guys who were working on a career, the scientist, the engineer, right? You know, the guys who was genuinely nice, had a 2-parent home, whatever, they were blowing those guys off for the thugs and bad boys. But in their mind, after they get done with the thugs and bad boys and after they ruin their life, those guys are supposed to come in their life, settle down, be married, and have kids with them, plus be cleanup men while they've actually had all their fun, you know. But it was too late. We're getting to these guys in the younger age where we're telling these guys get their passports, leave. Don't settle for any North American woman anymore. None. You know, if you choose to, I always tell them to give it about 20 years, you know, and just to check in periodically. But I would not take many of them seriously, you know. But yeah, Matt Bus Driver, he's hitting 100% on all numbers, right? Him and also Black Wham 313. Shout out to him. These are all really great channels, man.
I'm actually subscribed to Black Ram. He's one of these Chicago brothers. There's another guy you need to listen to. He calls himself General Tito.
Okay.
He's another Chicago. He knows Black Ram very well. Another Chicago guy. And also, when you get a chance, and I won't play her videos, start watching Kendra G videos, and you can see everything that I'm talking about with this delusion. And now you can also add Machiavellianism into it, because
I took a peek at her channel, man, and I also took a peek when Kevin Samuels drilled her ass to the ground, man. You know, before the man passed away or whatever, right? So, I mean that's nothing new to me, man, about her, or whatever. You know, because she'll accept phone calls from the Pookies and the Ray Rays and guys in prison and shit, man, and have these guys say, well, we're looking for guys like that also. We don't care if you in prison. That told me right there what she was about. When the guys were in halfway houses, prisons, and shit, I was like, this motherfucker off the chain, man.
Let me tell you what I saw on that channel last night. We had a sister up there, and another sister. One of the sisters was looking for a woman, and she asked the sister, well, it was about the penis. Would you like a real human penis? And she said, I have enough right here. And she was talking about toys. So
Bob is God.
Yeah, the battery operated boyfriends. But there's a lot of delusion and dysfunction.
Yes.
And social media.
Yes. I mean, look, that sneak preview that I sent you in an email, you're going to see the real definition of delusion in the Matrix. You're going to really see it. I mean, and listen, in that film, you're going to see nothing but strong, aggressive red pill truth bombs. You're going to be sitting back and saying, damn, for real? It's that fucked up? Yeah, you're going to see that, man. You're going to see it. And shout out to Al Grease. He came out with his new documentary, and yes, I think I'm going to get it tomorrow. It's called Frustrated 3. All right, who's the man? You got to get it, man. He just did the launch on it. You can go to greasefilms.com. And yes, he did it, right? You could buy it on Vimeo also, too. But yeah, it is officially out, man. Yeah, it is officially out. I have not seen it. There's been little clips of previews here and there, little sneak peeks or whatever. But from my understanding, going to a lot of the guys on the channel, even the Kosher Collisions channel and a few other people, basically from what I've gathered, right, and Dennis Jean-Pierre, the Matrix is really fucked up. You think female nature is fucked up by far? I mean, let's just watch the film and we just gonna see, okay? Because I don't want to be lying on the live camera or anything, but
you know what the definition of Matrix is, right?
Does it come from matriarch?
Tell them, Cyber. What's the definition of Matrix?
Cyber.
It comes from the word mater, which means mother. And
I said matriarch.
It comes from the same root as matriarch and matrilineal and matrimony. The Matrix means
that's where a lot of us got that from, man.
Matrix means
womb. Matrix means womb or void or cavity in which something is formed.
Yeah. And
the empty space.
Like the empty space between these bitches' ears.
Yes.
We started.
I was on Centennial's Gents channel and a couple others, and we started calling any woman who shames a guy to get their passport, or any guy that shames a guy to get their passport, or any person who actually encourage you to get with these single moms and deal with people with psychological problems, and fund their medication and all this other shit or whatever. We started calling them the agents. Yeah, right. The agents of the Matrix.
Well, yeah, they're everywhere.
Yes, they're everywhere. There it is.
It's been on here 2 hours and 25 minutes. I've talked about the Dark Triad, adolescent adults, solipsism, and now this is the part of the panel where we can have open topics. Anything you want to talk about?
I got a question I want to ask you then. I do, because it's something that's been going around these spaces for the last probably 2 or 3 days. I know you guys have seen that picture of the prom picture with all the white girls going to prom with the black dudes.
Yeah, I saw that. Trey had that on his thumbnail.
What's your thoughts on all of the motherfuckers in the community at large losing their minds over it?
Well, it didn't bother me because there's no such thing as the community.
No, I'm not talking about whether it bothered you. I'm talking about them losing, the community at large losing their minds over it. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, again, they're delusional anyway, because were they going out with those brothers, or the brothers are going out with them? No, it was a prom. It was a prom, because let's flip the script. Here's how I do it, Angry Snowman. Flip the script. What if it was the other way around?
Well, this is how I posed it, and it just kind of dawned on me today when I was on SKC's channel, because he asked me about it specifically when I hopped up. Since I'm the resident white boy. And,
I saw you on SKC.
But my thoughts on it is this: I find it interesting that the community at large is always bitching about equality.
Yeah.
Wanting for all these stigmas to go away, for them to be able to move and operate in the same capacity as white people, because they think that they're hindered somehow. Yet when you see it displayed by your children in real time that this is happening, because that's what that picture to me showed, real time equality. All right, people putting off to the side the whole delusion of skin color bias and, you know, culture and race bias, that happened in real time. But now once it's displayed, you want to bitch about it and complain about it and find a new argument to argue about.
Can anybody find that picture? I can't find it. If you can put it up, because it would be better if I could.
Yeah, let me see real quick. I'll pull it
I
up.
got a glimpse of it. Now we got everybody up here, but I saw a thumbnail of it. That's all I've seen. So I couldn't. I said, well, it's a prom.
Give me 1 second.
You know how to share screens from.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know anything about it until Trey had brought it up. And maybe if we can see it. Well, is that SYSBM or what?
Yeah, I'm waiting to see what you guys got to see, got to show me and everything. See, because I've been sitting up here watching more of this silliness, this chaos. Oh my God! Did you hear about Sylvester Stallone?
I didn't see. I didn't hear about that either. What's happening?
Yeah, this Sylvester Stallone. We got Sylvester Stallone and we got Tyrese. We got Tyrese too.
I did hear about George Foreman. Some ladies accused him of sexual assault back in the 70s.
And now they're trying to Me Too his ass too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's getting to the point now. This shit's about to be the goddamn norm where women can say whatever they want, and the law will say, okay, well, we're going to start the investigation 20 plus years later, and then we're going to see what happens. Oh my God.
I mean, look at Deshaun Watson. He's been suspended for 11 games, so he still gets to play almost half the season.
Oh my God! And like I said though, man, I said it before, man. It's not worth marrying these goddamn women out here. It is not, man, for real. I said exit stage left. Take your losses. Take your $150 million loss, man, to get the fuck out of here. Shit. I mean, look, Sylvester Stallone, quiet as kept. Okay, I'll put the cat out of the bag. He's getting a divorce, okay? His woman is leaving him after 25 golden years, okay? Oh. And then you got Tyrese, right? I posted this in our Red Pill Travel group, that Tyrese is now ordered to pay $10,000 a month in child support and $200,000 in back rear child support, okay?
Oh, okay. Now, this is what you all been talking about.
This is what everybody's been talking about, dude.
Okay, I want to see this.
Okay,
there's a picture that's up there right now.
Looks like a frat house, man. I tell you, but it's not. But
all that is the prom picture. It's a prom picture of a bunch of brothers that took a bunch of white girls to prom, and people and the community at large has lost their noodle.
You're kind of scratching up there.
It's because I got two things going on at once.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Oh, you're using two monitors. Okay. Well, it's a prom. Okay. Let them have their prom. And I don't know why the community was outraged. It's a prom. Things are changing. And, these guys look pretty square. They look like the community girls wouldn't even go out with those guys. Let's just be honest. I'm just honest. I'm looking at it. No.
Okay, you guys just also I can take it down so I can have my audio right.
Yeah, you can take it down. Well,
now the point I want to make, the point that I'd like to make out about that is the fact that, think about this. It isn't just the fact that you got young kids that have basically did away with the whole, racial divide narrative. But there were a set of 10 or 12 couples right there?
Yes.
So that's 20 different individuals. So that's 20 kids.
You got a little bit of feedback on your mic.
Yeah, definitely got it. Might turn down the gain.
Is that better?
It's still a little
No,
feeble.
it was just still crackly.
Yeah, still crackling a little bit.
I don't know about it then, other than restart everything. So I'll just say this: look, you got 20 kids who saw past that. So
Now the volume is low.
You know what? You're awfully freaking demanding.
Hey, the red pill of me tells me to state the obvious.
Is that better?
Being quiet and silent for years. We exposed that shit.
Is that better for you? Can you hear me now?
It's still crackling a little bit, but we'll
Yeah, we hear you. It's still crackling. Yeah, 411 is right. It's still crackling a little bit, but we hear you. Earlier, you sounded very loud and clear, like, shoot, you was in a radio station.
20 kids in high school that were looking past the racial barrier. But what we also got to look at is that means that's, at minimum, 20 sets of parents that look past it as well. All right?
Yep.
yeah.
You know, you could possibly go and say that it was more than that because some of these kids probably came from broken homes. So you got 2 sets of parents. So there could potentially be more than just 20 sets of parents that look past it. My question is if equality is really what people in the community really want, why, when they see it displayed in front of their face in real time, that things are changing, that they want to find a new way to argue about it?
Because America is racist. No.
Well, well, they really don't. They want something to complain about. That's what they want.
Yeah.
See, when you give them what they want, they really don't want it because they want to keep being victims. That's what it is. Because if it was the other way around, maybe some people would have complained, maybe some people wouldn't. But when it comes to the brothers, there's always going to be a lot of complaints, and those guys, they look like the type of dudes that the sisters wouldn't even go out with anyway, or go to the prom with. They don't look man enough for some of the sisters out there. They don't.
But I mean, you understand, you know, the argument that goes on whatever the table, right? I'm assuming all you guys can see the same thing.
I can't hear it.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, you might have to drop back down and come on back up. See if we can do that.
Yeah, you might have connection issues or something, man. Like when you play back this, you'll see what we're talking about. When you play it back, you'll see what we're talking about.
But like I
Cyber, you okay over there?
you all right there, Cyber? Yeah, he's okay.
Oh yeah, I'm good. Just chilling.
I mean, it was just a prom. I mean, I didn't have I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, it's a prom. I mean, it's not like they're marrying those chicks. It was a prom.
He says like they're married.
Well, see, we don't see. I only see a picture, but
Yeah.
the brothers could have asked the sister to go to the prom, and they may have rejected them. I mean, we don't know. See, the thing about a picture, we can believe that picture, but if we go deep, those type of dudes, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Some of the sisters, those dudes look square. To be honest, they do.
Is that was it high school or college?
That was high school.
I see.
And dang,
I see.
I mean, I just look at it. There's always going to be some people. There's always going to be some people. There's always going to be some people to complain. That's what they want.
Is that better?
They want some. It's a little better.
Volume's good.
Yeah.
But still crackling and popping?
Yeah,
Still crackling. It might be in your background.
Yeah.
I don't
You might have to unplug your cable and plug it back in.
That's probably
unplug your mic cable and plug it right back in.
Are you using the mic there, Men's Day? Because I'm not using the mic. I'm using everything is my computer. So
yeah, I'm not using the mic now. I speak directly to my device. Yeah.
Oh, Are you using your phone, right?
Who, me
Yeah.
or him?
You. It sounds like you're using your.
I'm speaking right into my Android device.
Okay, you're using your phone. I'm using a laptop too, so that's where my speaker.
See, I'm using it was probably a lot of times for some reason the software on the computer will jack up because I'm running through a USB.
Yeah, you using you got OBS?
No, I actually had to get rid of OBS, dude, because it kept jacking with my shit.
All right.
I think it's my computer. I think my computer can't handle all that I'm trying to do with it.
Right. Well, got the poll. The poll was complete. I got 26 votes. Do modern day adults act like children when they don't get their way? Final. 92% said yes. 7% said no out of 26 votes. So that tells you right there where we are as a society with the adults. Can you believe that? Adults. Now that's just a sample from my audience, but it is definitely true. But no, going back to that prompt, that was a prom picture. I didn't have any problem with it. Let kids go and have fun. And these insecure adults, you want individuals to open their mind and you want the equality. There it is right there. They don't want it. Only on their terms, though. Only on their terms.
That's how it works. That's the system of entitlement. That's the system of entitlement. It's on their terms, on their time, and on their way of operation. That's it. That's it. You know, and that's why we preach strongly that we encourage guys, go your own way. Just go your own way. Shit. Grab a passport. Get the hell out of here, man. For real. I tell guys, listen, I got a birthday coming up, man, next month, okay? On the 6th, okay? Right around the corner, okay, right? Yeah. I got one life to live just like anybody else who's living right now. Why just waste your time just focusing in one area, one country, and trying to build and protect something, you know, that's already tore down, man? Shit, you know, I mean, this is what it is. I mean, shit, you know, if Rome can go ahead and crash and burn, sure the hell we could too. Shit, you know, look at the situation now. Shit, you know, we got fucking Sylvester Stallone himself getting divorced. I mean, come on, man. Shit, she's leaving his after 20 plus years. God damn.
Is he in California? Okay. Is he in California?
Yeah, you got time. Go ahead.
Is he in California?
You know what? That's a great question. I do not know. I presume he is. I presume. Shit. That's the fucking goddamn divorce capital of the United States, next to what, New York and Pennsylvania. Shit.
Yeah, and they generate more revenue than any other state through child support too, man, because of Hollywood and all those like Tyrese, he just got hit with what was it, $5,000 a week in child support.
$5,000 a week?
Yeah, no, I thought it was $10,000 a month.
Is it
and the judge chewed his ass out, man, too, by the way.
$10,000 a month. That's $120,000.
My question is, why does he got to pay $10,000 a month to raise it to pay child support?
Yeah, it was $2,000. Yeah, it was $10,000 a month plus $200,000 of back rear child support. Shit. I had some people in the Facebook group saying, I don't know why he crying. He got it like that and shit. He got it like that. He famous, man. You don't know what these people's financial situation are, man. Well, you don't. You just only assume.
No woman is entitled to another man's wealth like that.
Thank you.
He's the one who worked for that shit. Why is she entitled to the fruits of his labors?
Because all ways are her ways. Give no quarter to the Queen of Hearts.
That's why I don't negotiate with terrorists.
You know that story, right? Everybody knows the story, right? Was there any name for the King of Hearts in Wonderland? Did the tiny king have a name?
You took it all the way back, Cyber. Come on, I'm thinking. You got me sitting up here thinking about this. Come on, I'm thinking about this. Come on.
He didn't have a name. All he did was parrot her. That's all he ever did.
Well, I hear on the chessboard, well, the queen is the most important piece on the chessboard because they can move anywhere where the king can only move one space. But in the game of chess, the queen doesn't get checkmate.
No, I'm a chess player, man. I play damn near every day, man. Every day.
Some may
The
say the queen is the most powerful, which that is still up for debate. But the king is the most important.
Thank you. That's where I'm at. Yeah. And the king is the most important. Yeah. The queen is the most powerful, but the king is most important.
She's got a dude on either side of her. Actually, she's surrounded by protection. She's got the king on one side, she's got the rook on the other side, she got 3 pawns in front of her.
You got the rooks, you got the knights, and then you got the pawns in front of you. So she is definitely.
I'm sorry, no, not the rook. She got the bishop. She got the bishop on the other side of her.
Bishop.
Yeah, if you get one of those pawns to the enemy line, you can regain you can get the queen back. But if you lose the king, it's over.
And I always call my queens different names. When they make it down, I call her Naomi. Veronica. When I play chess, man, me and my opponent, we talk a lot of shit, man. I have a lot of good fun with chess, man. I'm telling you.
Hey, are you on chess.com?
Well, you notice that.
Huh?
Are you on chess.com?
Yeah, I'm actually on that. Actually, no, I'm on Chess Friends. Chess Friends online, and then also Chess Friends, the app. That's like I can play people all around the globe. And then I can send people links if they're interested, to join.
Yeah, send me a link because I'm on chess.com, dude, and I love playing chess with people, especially people that I know.
Okay,
we can sit and talk shit while we're...
Yeah, I play chess all the damn time, man. All the time, man. That's shit.
Well,
I play on my Nintendo. I also play on my Nintendo Switch, too. Oh, I'm sorry, Cyber. Go ahead.
The king and the queen have the same versatility. The queen just has more range. And one thing that indicates is the king is more reserved for the purpose of preservation.
Yep, and the queen is more, what do they call that?
Visceral?
Impulsive. The queen is more impulsive.
Yeah.
She's willing to make bigger moves, even if it means that it causes her own demise.
Yeah. Because the king can only move one place, though.
But
what
Cyber was saying is they both have the same range. They have the same movement ability. They can move any direction they want.
Yep.
They just don't have the same range.
He's more reserved.
Because I've seen
that might be wisdom keeping him back, moving one space at a time.
Hey, I see North America women as like the game of chess also. Okay, as long as she got the laws to back her ass up, she can move anywhere across the goddamn fucking United States and cause the same amount of damage. It just depends on how much damage she caused your ass.
Well, I look at it like this, man. This is how I see the queen on a chessboard. You send her out to disrupt the troops on the other side because that's what women do. They go out and they disrupt, while the king sits back and falls back and directs the rest of the army to go clean up when she's misdirected and interrupted what they're doing.
He said clean up.
Because, if you look throughout history, how many times have women been the downfall of a nation? Specifically, the queen of another land.
Yes. Listen, I don't know if you read the Bible, but you're telling the truth, Snow Man. I mean, read the fucking Bible. The Bible's as red pill as you can get. Read the book of Kings. Like everything. Yeah, read the book of Kings. It tells you everything of how many times, and I think Judges too. Tells you how many times a woman has tore down fucking kingdoms, countries, and all that shit, man. I'm telling you.
I'm thinking about it. I'm not a scholar. Maybe we should do a panel on the Bible.
I'm down.
I'm serious, man. Look, the Bible is as red pill as you can get. If you read Ephesians, it talks about these damn women. Shit.
Well, it does too, man. It points out the fact that every single time man has listened to women over God he's been punished and he's failed
Every
every
time.
single time. There's not been a single time man took woman's advice and won.
Woo.
Man,
Man, look, hey, Snowman, you could do a whole panel on that shit, man, like easily, man. We could go over damn near 6-8 hours on that shit, man. I mean, for real.
Dude, when you talk about 6-8 hours, we could go over that for 6-8 months.
Yeah, that's a damn good topic, man. That's a powerful, aggressive topic. Shit.
I think you might. I got to look because I'm not a scholar now. Tommy Jean's more of a scholar with the Bible than I am. I know there are books that didn't get in the Bible, but I'm
Hey, salute to Miss Tommy Jean too. I know like we can't see you, but we know you're sitting over there right beside him.
No. She reads the Bible. She's playing a game and everything, but I don't. I read the. I've seen some in the Bible. The first 5 books of the Old Testament. Oh, I love the first 5 books when you start getting into Numbers and Genesis.
The genealogy of everything, seeing how everything goes back through the ages, man. That's crazy how they were able to track everything.
But it's amazing how that
keep records like that.
It's amazing how that book is still used today. Now, some people don't read it correctly,
Yes.
like your churches,
I agree.
but it still has relevance.
Well, I think a lot of people try to sit and equate it to allegory, when actually I think the book, in a lot of ways, was intended to be read just as written, and not to be looked at as a metaphor, but to be seen for what it is.
Yeah. But I want to do some interesting because doing what I did tonight, the Dark Triad and the personalities. And
Yeah, that's like the Holy Trinity and the Unholy Trinity.
and see, when you guys go out, just people watch, see how they act, see how they, like you can see what went on in the chat this evening, and we didn't have to do any up and down, and individuals just left, and see, we didn't even have to curse them out or anything. They just left because the kitchen got a little too hot for them.
That's the pesky facts, man. Every time them pesky facts get in the way, people's feelings get hurt. They can't fall back on their twisted, straw man theories and arguments when you bring the pesky facts to the table.
And because yeah. So
and look,
shout out to brother.
all it was about. Sorry, go ahead.
Shout out to brother Brian Davis. He says Genesis chapters 1, 2, and 5 talks about creation, while it was a retelling of same creation or 3 different creations.
Was it a retelling of the same creation or 3 different creations? Well, see, the truth of the matter is all we can do at this point is guess. But I know for me personally, I believe that there was actually 2 separate creations, because you had the whole creation story with Lilith and Adam, and Lilith, she basically the story with her is she rebelled against Adam because she didn't want to submit to the will of a man, right? And she was banned from the garden. But to see the difference, what made Lilith different than Adam is Adam and Lilith were both made of the earth and in the image of God, whereas Adam, the second time around, was made of the image of God, and Eve was taken from Adam's rib, so he was made from Adam in the image of God.
Yes, see, I wish I got to go in there. I got to go in there. I mean, you guys seem to be sharp. I just had to put it up on the screen because, like I said, Genesis starts. What is it? Genesis, Numbers, Leviticus. Is it Ecclesiastes?
Yeah. I mean, you're saying it right. The thing is, I will tell you about this, and I'm gonna just put it out there. I tell people, in my opinion, you got to be very careful who you talk about religion in the Bible with. I swear to God, man. I swear to God. and politics. I tell people that because I have this. It started off many times. I've witnessed this with people, and then I've been dragged into that stuff. I got lucky to get out of that crap. Okay, but a lot of people, right? Even some people with psychological problems, and you don't realize who it is. They will turn that shit, man, into an argument really quick. It'll start off as a friendly, touch and go situation, but it can turn into it'll turn into a disagreement, then a debate, then an argument, and after argument, it goes haywire from there. So just make sure before you even go down that rabbit hole, you know what you're getting yourself into. And I've seen it happen on panels. I've seen it happen in real life. Yes, it's real talk, man. So there's just FYI.
I won't debate with women at all anymore. I won't have discussions with them. I refuse to, for the most part. And especially on platforms like this, I ain't doing it. I'm just not. I'm not getting that your emotional, hurricane that you like to create. And I don't debate with moist men because I'm not getting into your pseudo emotional nonsense that you make up because you have mom issues.
Yeah.
Said mommy issues.
Well,
I just say they're just pretty fucked up in the head, man. For real. I've seen them. I've seen guys, man, argue so bad, man, and they went into name calling. They went into people's personal life, and they swear they was big Muslim or Christian man or whatever the hell it may have been, man. And I'm really touch and go on the topic. I'm just going to put it like that personally, And I've seen, a lot of individuals who didn't mean any harm in the situation, So it just really kind of depends on who you're associated with. You understand?
Now I'll tell you what. I heard a really interesting explanation on the whole Adam and Eve and the original sin topic. How they talk about the apple, taking from the tree of knowledge when they weren't supposed to. They were only supposed to eat from the tree of life. All right, and the way and it was actually interesting. It kind of made sense. I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but it's worth actually maybe delving into the fact that when they talk about Eve partaking from the fruit, and she was tempted by Satan with it, by Lucifer, the serpent. All right, there's a lot of people say that the fruit is actually a metaphor for sex. And what happened was when Eve was in the garden, she was actually tempted by the serpent with sex, and she gave in to him. And that is where original sin actually first came from. And see what happened after she was tempted with sex, she tempted Adam with sex, and that's how she ended up giving birth to two sons, Cain and Abel, one being evil and one being holy, because one was of unclean, unrighteous blood, and the other one was actually Adam's blood.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah, that is. Shout out to G Davis 2050. Welcome to the chat.
Well, and the reason why they say that the devil actually had tempted Eve like that is because he was in love with Lilith. After Lilith had left Adam, she had ended up. So the story goes, she had met with the devil and became his bride. That's why Lilith is tied with things that are evil. All right, but even the devil couldn't tame Lilith, and she ended up basically running off on him. But when God made Eve was still looked exactly like Lilith in all ways, shapes, and forms. So when Satan or Lucifer actually first laid eyes on her, he thought she was Lilith and fell in love with her again, and that's why he tempted her.
That's interesting.
I mean, I don't know if it's 100% correct, but I can see the lesson in that. If that is, all there is to see. I mean, it is a very interesting, interpretation that it could be delved into a little deeper.
Yeah, that's something. If you guys got some interesting topics, because I got
just not everybody's capable of having discussions like that, man. Because it's not only religion, but it also takes religion to a more intellectual level.
Shout out to Brian Davis. He says, Seth is my favorite person in the Bible. Seth is overshadowed by his older brothers, Cain and Abel.
Right. Well, actually, I believe that the real number, Adam and Eve had, I think, like 20 or 30 sons and daughters.
Wow.
It wasn't just the 3 sons and 1 daughter, but I think that they had quite a few. They
Wow.
just mentioned the 3 boys by name, and then they very, very, very lightly touch on the 1 daughter. You know, and I can't really tell you what scripture or anything. I'm just going off of my knowledge. I spent a good portion of my youth in church because my mom was a very, very authoritarian Nazi dictator in the house, and basically I wasn't allowed to do anything but go to school and go to church. So anything I could do to get out of the house, you know. So I was in church every Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. I was in church on Wednesday night, you know, for Wednesday night mass and Awana, or Wednesday night church and Awanas and all that stuff. And I went to it was a Southern Baptist church, basically a borderline Pentecostal church. And if anybody knows anything about them kind of churches,
Oh, I know
once the
about
pastor,
Pentecostal.
once the pastor gets going, man, it's hard to get him to stop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Shout out to G. Davis. She does mention the 5 books from the Old Testament, starting with Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy.
Yeah, those are all the 5 books of the Torah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, man. Listen, I put my email inside the private messenger StreamYard, so go ahead and check that out. You guys want to get in contact with me, but I got to go ahead and run, you guys. But thank you so much. I appreciate you bringing me onto the panel, buddy.
Hey, not a problem. You're welcome up here anytime. Shoot over.
I'm gonna email you right now so you can send me an invite for your chess thing.
Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, you'll see. Yeah, check the private message inside of StreamYard. I just sent it to everybody on this panel. You guys can see it and everything when I get in contact with me. And then also, too, my YouTube channel also has my contact information on there through Skype or whatever means that you use.
Before you go, could you spam your channel? And I want everybody. I'm already subscribed to Mr. G. If you can spam your channel, and you got a wrench, so everybody would have wrenched. I've already spammed mine, and Brother Angry Snowman, spam your channel in there as well. We gotta help and let me know when you're streaming. I gotta support your stream, Brother Angry Snowman. You know, let me know when you're coming up too as well.
Yeah, and same here, Angry Snowman. So then, therefore, you can shoot me your link in my email. And then next time you're going to go live, man, you know, then I can at least know, and I can subscribe to your channel, whatever topic.
Yeah, actually, right. Yeah, right now I'm running on my backup channel because I just got my second community violations strike on my main channel. So that one's dude, I had to make all my content private and everything. I'm trying to get my backup up, you know, get it populated now. You know, I got about 44 subscribers, which ain't bad for the first day, I guess.
Yeah. Okay,
you know,
cool. And then Cybertoxin, you have my email also too inside there if you need to reach out to me and everything too, man. So, and then Angry Snowman, once you play back this video towards the middle and the end, you'll see what we're talking about as far as the sound and the feedback, man.
Yeah, I have issues from time to time.
Yeah,
it's just like a woman; it never wants to cooperate.
All right, you guys have a good night. And I'll talk to you soon. And 411, we can also talk offline. Okay, buddy?
All right, my brother. Peace.
Take it easy.
Good night, Mr. Gigi.
See you, Mr. Cyber. See you, Angry.
Yep.
All right. We're definitely at the 3-hour mark. So what I'm going to do, I don't know what time it is in Cyber Toxins. It's almost 10 o'clock here, Brother Angry Snowman, here in Indiana.
Yep.
So
there. Paste. Oh shit. I gotta put that in the main chat. Damn it.
Oh yeah, let me what I can do, I can spam it. I copy it. I'm gonna put Angry Snowman's channel right.
That's my backup channel.
That's
the only one that's worth the shit right now anyhow.
This is Angry Snowman's backup channel. Make sure you get there. Like, share, and subscribe. YouTube is being YouTube again, and when that happens, it doesn't make it
Once I get
very
that one populated, I think when that one gets populated, I think I'm gonna change the name of it to Pissed Off Puddle.
Then you really get a strike because they also look at your name too.
Well, I think the name would be it'd go right real well with Angry Snowman. First, I was the Angry Snowman. Now I'm a Pissed Off Puddle.
Yeah. So, well, we're at the 3 hour mark. All right, Cyber Toxic. He also put his channel in there too. Good. Everybody link up with one another, and of course, I got to go and put my channel in there too for anybody who is looking for some good content here, and we talk about deep topics here on the 411 Talk Zone radio show. Angry Snowman talks about them as well. This is a link to the 411 Talk Zone radio show channel, and if you guys are interested in some my other content, I also have a second channel out, and I'm going to put that up in a minute. And that is known as the QCIS channel. Now, that channel has got some different type of content on there. That channel, I do a lot of show everybody my job on there, some field inspections. If you're interested in the field of construction, that's on there. So, but being at the 3 hour, what I'm going to do? Yes, sir.
Snowman, you want me to put your alternate in there?
Oh, am I setting my backup?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, because the main channel, there's nothing on it right now. I took everybody's advice and made everything private until the 90 days is up.
You said how many days?
90 days until they take them strikes off.
Yeah, they're messing with him. He put a very critical interview up on his channel, and since then they've been striking him with misinformation strikes on things from way back that don't even apply. They're coming at him. Twitter's already said that they're trying to purge people before the midterms, and the machines, they're basically owned by the same technocrats. So YouTube's doing the same thing. They're just not being as open about it.
Yeah, and that interview that I did,
they're not under as much scrutiny.
Yeah, that interview I did, the reason why they can't take it down is because the dude was acquitted. So
right, it's all facts,
and it's all facts. So that's the one that they would have liked to have had removed. But it's been since that one that I've been having issues, because it was literally like 2-3 days after I did that interview I started getting strikes.
Wow. Yeah. And this goes by something we were talking about. Who's running YouTube? A woman is running. I can tell you, when I first got on YouTube, it wasn't like this. Now, was there flagging going on? Yeah, absolutely, but not like this. We didn't even have to worry about it in the algorithm. Matter of fact, even before we got into the panels, all of us had to do pre-recorded content up here. I mean,
right.
I mean, let me tell you, I still do.
That was a lot of work.
Well, for now, Matt Coley, he's normally up here. He can take a subject that I do and come up with a 10 or 15-minute video better than I can. Mine are usually a half an hour. That's what mine are. And that's how YouTube is now. They're very, very sensitive. Twitter's sensitive.
Shit, you think YouTube is sensitive? Have you tried putting anything on TikTok?
I've never even been on TikTok. I didn't.
Jesus Christ, dude, Leon, I have, I think, like maybe 8 or 9 videos on TikTok. All right, those 8 or 9 videos are all the 8 or 9 videos that I made within the first 2 months of being on TikTok. After that, every single video that I've tried to put on TikTok, they've removed within 10-15 minutes of it being put on TikTok.
Oh, wow.
Every single one. Everyone.
Wow.
I mean, don't get me I understand that a lot of the stuff that I talk about is controversial, just simply because I intentionally push back against the machine. You know, for as long as you've known me, that's been pretty much my shtick right there, is pushing back against the machine.
Well,
You know, and that's what I did on Facebook. You know, for the
on Facebook too.
yeah, well, I did that for 11 years on Facebook.
Oh,
Push back against the machine, dude. I had 20,000 followers on Facebook,
wow.
and they took me down. I was part of the Great Purge of 2020 on Facebook, when they got rid of all the Patriot pages, all the militia pages, all the pedophile watch pages. You know, anything that any groups that had anything to do with patriotism, all the MAGA pages, you know, anybody that spoke up about America, anybody who basically people like me. I was part of that purge. And the thing is it pisses me off, and I think that everybody should be able to sue Facebook for at least their content, because they stole everybody's content from them. You know, because Facebook was a place where a lot of people, like myself included, even though I was putting out informational shit, I used it as a storage facility to save all my pictures from when, like, me and the wife went out, when me and the kids went out. You know, I just save it, share it on Facebook. You know, little videos me and my son did, they took, that I don't have no more. You know, the videos of me and my mom, the last few months my mom was alive, I don't have no more. And they shouldn't be able to they shouldn't be able to steal your property like that.
No.
If they want to shut your channel down, fine. But I should have access, or be able to get access to my property.
Yes. Well, we're at the 3:10 mark. What I'm going to do, I want everybody to give me their closing statements, and I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. It's 3 after 10 o'clock here in Indiana. I know me and Brother Angry Snowman live here in Indiana. It's about the same time over there where he is. Start with Brother Cybertoxin. What's your closing statements?
I guess I'd like to close with just sharing with you, when you go to look at that that information I sent you on dialectic.
Yes.
Also check out my number 4 upload, because there's a lot of undertone in that, referring to certain dialectic, you know, talking about people being rallied to certain cause because of extremes. You'll find some relativity there when you look at it. And it also ties into what we were just talking about, the way they use the machines that they have control over to control the people that use them.
Yeah, I might have to use some of that. Well, bring some of that up here on my, make some content out of it as well.
Right. And we got into it thinking it was going to be some way that we could be free to express ourselves, but it was just a slow boil where they turned it up, and now there's some people who are actually having what they say controlled instead of not being able to say what they want. There's some people actually being forced to say things they don't even believe,
Yeah,
because they've invested their existence into these platforms. And Marky Mark's one of them.
Dude, that was deep right there, bro.
Yeah, that was.
He can dance around all he wants. And I'm not talking about Mark Wahlberg from the Funky Bunch. You know who I'm talking about. They got him by the nuts.
Yeah.
They have to, man, because that tap dance that we watched last night was insane.
Oh, yeah. They're either going to milk him or crack him. And he knows it.
Wow.
Because he didn't make the software. He didn't make the hardware. He just found different ways to apply it to society. And
he didn't even write the algorithm.
There you go. So, yeah, check that out. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for having me.
Hey, all right. You're always welcome up here. Salute, my brother.
Salute. Let us know, man.
Hey, there's a cyber.
All right, brother Snowman. Your Closing thoughts of the night.
I think the world needs help.
Yeah, well,
Seriously, the world needs a lot of help. A lot of help. I want to do a documentary of myself, be honest with you, and I want to do it on the division in this country that has been fostered and fed, fueled by women who only want to relegate and retain power.
yeah,
Because I believe that that's where we are right now, and I think that that's what the problem is with the male diaspora, because you can't say community anymore.
yeah, that's true too. They've been allowed to speak what they wanted to speak, but when there's some pushback, the people pushing back get canceled. So much for equality.
You know, I got a lot of stuff that I've already clipped here and there that I think could go into it, but I'm thinking about going out in the streets too and having just talking to people, you know, and seeing if they'll let me record, you know, having interviews with just random people, random men, not women, men in the street, ask their opinions on what they think, what they see. You know, because look, the truth of the matter is this. It seems like every single time I see something starting to grow some kind of fruit or bear some kind of fruit, as far as men as a whole in this country moving in a positive direction, it always ends up getting stifled, and it always seems like the person or persons behind it have a vagina.
Yeah, that's
You know, and that's the
facts.
real reality of it, man. It always seems like that's who's behind it. Be it, you know, a pissed off ex that wants to ruin some guy who's trying to do a movement. Be it, you know, some disgruntled employee that wants to, you know, destroy some man because, you know, she got fired from a job for a real reason. Be it these women on YouTube that like to come up and get in the middle of, you know, conversations where men are building. You know what I'm saying? And have a good discussion where going, and they got to interject themselves and their toxic, you know, energy into it just to dismantle it, so it doesn't actually have it bear any fruit of any sort. Even if the only fruit that it would have bore was some men who didn't know each other prior exchanging information so they could maybe talk in real time and do something. Because look, the truth of the matter is I really believe this, and I believe this with all of my heart. Okay? I believe every bit of what I'm about to tell you with all of my heart. The only way America is going to be saved is if men can actually put their differences aside. Which we know they can. We see it all the time. But if men can actually put all their differences aside, stop being manipulated and misled, and realize that us as a whole, me, you, all these other women out here that recognize that the failures that are going on, stand together and fix our gaze all in the same direction. And show these motherfuckers that we see where the problem lies and that we've had enough. When all the men in this country stand up, legit stand up together, that's the only thing that's going to save this nation. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And the only thing that's preventing that is these toxic women. They're agents of the machine. They don't want anything to change. They have too much to lose.
That's facts, and they would have to be accountable. They'd have to grow up.
Well, the truth of the matter is they know that if the men were to stand up and actually work together, the things are going to change for them anyhow, and a lot of things are going to go back to the way it used to be.
And you got to keep some men. You have some men out here who follow women too. That's the problem.
You know, but But like I said, I honestly really believe that wholeheartedly. That's why dude, honestly, Lon, that's why I push so hard, even though I constantly get pushed back by people. I constantly got people, slandering my name and talking shit about me and saying this and saying that. And yeah, I do go out and say some dumb shit here and there. What man doesn't? It seems like every single man that's out there that tries to do something good or use his voice for something good, they always make sure that they go out and find the worst, most horrible things that person ever did to try and discredit it and make it out that all the work that he's done that's been positive to try and build something with other people, other men, is not won't be acknowledged or seen, and that he's only held accountable for that one or two mistakes that he made. And we live in a day and age now where everybody focuses on the one or two mistakes, and they forget that people, in order for someone to grow and become a better person, they have to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of that. You don't gain wisdom by always doing the right thing. You gain wisdom when you make mistakes and you learn from it.
That's true as well.
So the only thing I can say is people recognize that obviously I'm strong-willed and strong-hearted at what I'm trying to do, and that's why they constantly try to discredit me everywhere they go. I don't care. Say what you want. Say what you will. I let my what I do speak for itself in the way I conduct myself, because I'm not one of the people that just like to hear myself speak. I don't talk just to talk. I live the same way I talk. And I think that we need more men out there to show other men that it's okay to be this way, to live the way you talk. It's okay to be proud to be a man. It's okay to be masculine. It's not toxic. It's okay if you're black to be a proud black man and have black pride. It's okay if you're a white man to be a proud white man and have white pride. It's okay to tell these people that you're not going to stand by and let them do all this horrible shit to your kids and indoctrinate your kids to where they hate each other. It's okay to stand up for what's right. It's okay. Because we have to. Unless we want to just watch everything die and go down the toilet.
All right.
But with that, that's my final words. I know probably a little different than normal, but it needs to be said sometimes. Appreciate you having me up.
Hey, I appreciate you. And then you get your other channel. Let me know when you're streaming. And everybody support brother Angry Snowman. And thank the chat and thank the panel. Everybody who participated tonight. Thank you.
Hey, hit his name's Cash Chat too, man. Make sure you hit that thumbs up on the way out. Like, share, subscribe.
That's it. All right, peace, my brother. Well, again, another interesting show tonight. Tonight we talked about the Dark Triad. That's what we started off with. Then we went into solipsism. Then we talked about adolescent adults, and we had an open panel. Now, I will just say this so we keep the record straight. I do a lot of reading on these behavioral issues. Some come from psychology, some come from textbooks. What I see in this country today is a bunch of delusion, a lot of deception, and a lot of childlike behavior. And a message to all the adults out there: grow up, live in a real world. If you are in my age bracket, down into the 40s, even down into the 30s, you'll never go back to your teens. Getting older is a good thing because you pick up wisdom along the way. And in the end, if you take that wisdom and pass it down and don't listen to what the imbeciles in the media, the mainstream media, your religious institutions, government, the jobs, and your education system say, you will be better off. Because looking at this country that I fought for 17 years, during the long haul, it's going to continue to go down. So I'm going to use the strong survive, because Charles Darwin said that only the strong survive. If you're weak, you're not going to make it. But if you're strong, utilize your resources, your survival techniques, and continue to enjoy life. Because in the end, before you look at somebody else, you must look at yourself. Because you can't change a society until you change yourself as an individual. And when that happens, you may see a domino effect. You will see a domino effect. Also, there are going to be some people you can't save. Don't worry about the ones you can't save. But always interact with people with like minds. Ones that you cannot have a conversation with, stay away. Those are the toxic people. If you want to be better, hang around better people. Remember, you only live once, and while you're here, you make the best of it. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And before I go, let's take a look at one last poll question. Do American adults or do modern day adults act like children when they don't get what they want? The poll consisted of 26 votes. 92% said yes, 7% said no. And again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. Again, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Also, if you're looking for some educational content, you can check out the QCIS channel. It's another YouTube channel I have. In fact, in the last 3 days on that channel, I've put up 4 videos. Check them out. Now, if you cannot find me on YouTube, you can check me out on Twitter, both channels. Now for the QCIS channel, I take it one step further, since it's an educational channel or professional channel. Again, the QCIS channel is an educational channel. You can also find that channel on LinkedIn. And at the end of the day, I'm going to say this. Be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Now, for individuals that we talked about tonight, if it's not you, I'm going to say this. However, if it is you, I'm going to say this as well. Opposite sides of the same coin. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. However, if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. Once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. I'll be doing more pre-recorded content and more content next Wednesday. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious night. God bless you. I'm out.